Real-time car talk show. Coming up, Ron Llewellyn, professor and director of the Shelby Automotive Program, joins us. We'll also have the upcoming events calendar. Mr. Mars reviews the Grand Wagoneer. Plus, you'll hear the stories making automotive news headlines this week. Howdy. Along with Mike Out of This World Mars, King Conrad DeLong. We always need more Jeff Zekin. And I'm Don Armstrong. Thanks for joining us on this Saturday in our live show. We're back after a 3-week respite, couple of weekends.
From vacation.
Thank you very much. Had a great time. I joined our chief engineer, David Ainsley, at the cottage up there off of Lake Huron, and it was spectacular.
The Upper Peninsula.
The Upper Peninsula of Michigan and of the world as we know it. But a great time, and thank you, David, for that. Okay. Let's just get right to it. Let's just get into it.
Get her done.
We're going to get her done right now. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the professor and director of the Shelby Automotive Program, automotive repair credentials. He's from the graduate Northern Arizona University. Mr. Llewellyn has 18 plus years as of industry experience. I'm just kind of butchering this all up, all right? But at any rate, we're just going to get right to it.
Let's just turn it over to him. How's that?
Well, let's just do that. And good morning, sir. Good morning, Ron.
Good morning, guys. How you guys
doing? Thank you so much. I'm sorry I butchered your intro all up, but you know what? It doesn't make any difference because you're going to explain to us all about the automotive repair at the Shelby Automotive Program. Tell us where the program takes place.
Well, Carroll was originally born and raised for his youth years near a little town called Pittsburgh, like about 100 miles southeast of Texarkana.
That's Pittsburgh, Texas.
Pittsburgh, Texas, yes, sir. And he came back to this area, and was going to create his own automotive program back in the mid-2010s, around 2005, 2007. And he wanted to build his own automotive school. We didn't get a lot of support from the local people other than the community college where I work, Northeast Texas Community College. So he decided to create this program, this automotive repair program at the school where I'm employed. I've been there since 2016, but the program started back in 2007 while Carroll was still alive.
Very nice. And give me the age of the students that you have there, approximately.
Oh, it's really varied. I mean, most of my students are like college age students, late teens to mid 20s. Okay. But, I have students sometimes that come to us that are just, starting over again, trying to start a new career that could be late 30s, early 40s, all the way close, to 50 years old.
Careful now. We're getting close to us, but I'm thinking, I will say this, that this interests me a lot. And I love learning things about automotive. And we have our board member here, Mr. Conrad DeLong, that knows all about that sort of stuff. He used to be with General Motors years ago and very knowledgeable when it comes to automotive things. So if you ever need a guest speaker, Conrad would be the guy for you. But at any rate, so how many students do you have?
Okay, so, it's really unique. We've got a connection with Carroll's foundation. He connected us with his foundation. His foundation is located in Gardenia, California, where the original factory was, where he built the original CSX Cobras. And the foundation gives us $50,000 a year in scholarship money to support our students. And we even have a connection with the actual parent company in Las Vegas. I've got students that go there every summer to Shelby American LLC in Las Vegas, right off the strip where the company is now.
Right.
And they go there and help build cars through the summer. I've got 2 kids out there right now.
So they intern there at LLC?
Yes, sir.
Nice. And how many students do you have?
Okay, so, it's a small college, and we're building this program. So, our whole student body is around 2,000 for a semester. So we're looking at, with our high school dual credit students and our college students that we bring in, about 55, 60 students a semester.
Manageable.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah.
And as your students graduate your program, are they moving out into the repair world of dealerships and independent shops, or are they moving towards more of the customization world of like Shelby American or, you know, any of these guys that are doing all this customization work?
Or even racing?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the racing is kind of a tough nut to crack, especially with a program that's so fledgling. But, yeah, I mean, I've got connections with two of the Shelby car builders that are outside of the Shelby network. I don't know if you guys are aware, but there's only 3 companies in the entire U.S. that have the right to, or, you know, the naming rights to build Shelby automobiles. Legendary GT in Roaring Springs, Pennsylvania. Here in Texas, it's a group run by the Stone Brothers out of Flower Mound, Texas. They started out as classic recreations, and now they've spread into doing more modernized stuff, you know, upgrades, Shelby upgrades on more modern cars. And their new place is Shelby Garage, but they're started out as classic recreations. So those two, along with Shelby American, are the only entities in the country that have Shelby rights to create vehicles and put Shelby serial numbers on.
So the program that you have there at the community college, is it geared all to the Shelby brand?
No, sir. No, I've tried to, since my start there in 2016, to try to get the connection with Ford, because I mean, it just makes the most sense to have connection with Ford. So we've partnered with the local dealers, and we're not a Ford, you know, factory training program, but we have the Ford ACE that we use for our classroom curriculum, the Accelerated Career Education Program from Ford. And my own philosophy is, I don't really care if these kids go to work for Ford. I mean, I like that connection with Ford, but I think it's just good that they're connected somehow with a manufacturer, because I know in my career, I learned so much more when I was exposed to manufacturer repair program or repairing vehicles in a manufacturer setting. I worked for GMC for years. So I think it's really good for these kids to understand that, you know, that when they go to work for a manufacturer and they've got that, you know, there's just 10 times more information working inside that network than there is working as an independent.
You had mentioned that, you know, back in our days, we didn't have all those connections. Like you said, you had 1 or 2 that you relied on, but now with what you're doing there, you have multiple. So those students can go virtually anywhere in the automotive industry through your program.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we're trying to just make sure we're, you know, not stepping completely into the realm where we're going to, you know, pigeonhole ourselves into being a Ford program or a Shelby program. We want to, because it's community college, we want to keep it open to, you know, all aspects of automotive repair. But it's been really helpful that we've got the connection with Shelby and with Ford.
Well, it's a good thing that you're producing general technicians for the industry, because the dealerships have no place to find new technicians. You know, there's such a shortage of technically experienced people out there to go to work, whether it's a dealership or independent shops. So programs like yours are very, very important for the industry to continue to produce technicians for the field, because, you know, lots of them are my age and they're all retiring. And if they're not out mentoring somebody new and young, their knowledge gets lost and their experience gets lost. So having a program like yours is pretty important.
Is your program a 2-year program?
Yes, sir. Well, you know, it's we've created as a lockstep kind of thing. I mean, we start out with a 1-year certificate. We do what we call a summer performance academy in the summer between the first and second year, and we build a car. I mean, we have gotten with our partnership with Shelby that they're looking towards the future, you know, as well as Ford. I mean, they, you know, building the Ford Lightning. So we've started an EV program. We had a write-up in the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. We were the first college in the country that declared that we were going to have a standalone electric vehicle program.
Wow.
We've even got the funding and built a brand new facility just to support that EV program.
That's shocking.
Yeah. Lightning.
So.
Well,
Conrad brings just a sense of humor to this that
no one
we
understands.
He tries to bring us.
I'm sorry. Yes, there's that.
Maybe he's not going to be a good speaker for you.
Rethink.
So,
that.
are you NATEF certified?
no, sir, we are not. At one point, it's the same as the last college I was at. I formerly was at Yavapai College in Prescott, Arizona, and I had to go through the process of the NATEF certification for the diesel program I had there. And it's something that's in the to-do list here, but this program's the same as the last program. The college at the last school, they had a president come into that last college and destroyed the career tech programs, and then they realized they were going to lose all their federal funding, and they ousted her, and I had to come back in and create a diesel program there from the ground up, along with help of my automotive instructors that were working there too. And we had to go through like it was like 6 years for us to go through and put everything together to get the NATEF certificate.
Oh yeah. It's very, very complicated.
Arduous.
Any relationships you have with manufacturers is very beneficial to NATEF as well. I used to do, there's a couple of points in time where somebody has to come in and kind of do an inspection of the facility. And when I worked for General Motors, I would do some of those NATEF inspections throughout the state of Texas. Are you also?
So you were a site inspector for NATEF then?
Yeah. Are you are you affiliated at all with the AYAS program either?
No, and we haven't really done a lot with Skills USA either. But I mean, those are things that we really. My biggest problem right now, the funding's not there. I only have 3 full-time instructors and 1 part-time instructor, along with my student workers. I mean, there's just a lot to do.
Oh yeah.
So if I had some more, if the funding would come across where I had ability to hire some more, seasoned people, some people to help with this, I'd be able to get a lot more of this done, I think. But I mean, it'll all come in due time.
Yeah, and that's the problem is the funding creates industry need because you're producing technicians for the field, and I would assume a significant amount of them would stay as a community college in those communities to backfeed the real strong need of dealerships and independent shops for technicians, and why that doesn't get a serious funding from the local community and the community college makes absolutely no sense, because it kind of feeds the need that's in and around the area that is running dry and running drier all the time. So good idea, good program. I love the relationship you have with Shelby. That's quite unique in all my time being associated with various community college programs.
The one thing I can say is, I mean, it's kind of, we've looked at here at the college as a destination program, because his foundation is actually supporting other colleges now. They're putting money into other colleges. I mean, he had quite a hefty foundational, allotment that he left behind after he passed. But we are the only one that will ever have the naming rights to be called the Carroll Shelby Automotive Program. Wow. So that's pretty unique.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
You have students that come from other parts of Texas or the United States?
Oh, yes, sir. I've got students that have came to me. I've got partnerships with that other entity up in Roaring Springs, Pennsylvania. I have kids come from that area. I've got this program that we call the Hometown Scholarship to try to recruit kids from those areas. I've got another company called Gateway Bronco right outside of St. Louis and in rural Illinois. They build the first-gen Broncos. They've got a place, I think, in Iowa that builds the 10s, and they build the custom frames and stick stuffed Coyote motors in these things and sell them for, $250,000.
Of course they do.
I've got kids working for them, and I try to promote kids from those areas to come stay in our dorms and live in our dorms and, do our education and go back there to go to work. Because the one thing I've noticed with these younger generation, a lot of them, they don't want to leave the area they're in. I mean, they want to stay somewhere close to home. I guess they're used to mom setting out their underwear and their socks every morning. I guess, I don't know.
And that's why some of us get married.
Yeah, just take another mother. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's really difficult. I've put some of these kids in some just amazing opportunities to go somewhere, and work for these, these high profile companies, and they don't want to do it. I mean, they want to stay at home. I mean, it just boggles my mind. I mean, when I was their age, man, I would be on the first train out of town.
Yeah, kind of a difference in work ethic as well, not just desire, but work ethic in general. And that's tough to overcome as a school, because you've got to be able, as you're trying to deliver these apprentice level technicians to the field, they have to go somewhere and have a good work ethic to become successful. And, a good technician, an A-level technician is a six-figure income person.
Yes, sir.
And it's not difficult to get to six figures if they're willing to put the work into it.
You had mentioned earlier that you have not had a lot of success in putting any of your students into any kind of racing programs. Why is that?
Well, I mean, the connection with the name is there. It's just really hard to break into those realms. I mean, when I started out teaching for Universal Tech Institute, because I graduated from a diesel program down. I've done automotive training in the state here through Job Corps. I did an automotive program down at San Marcos. They used to have, it's not even there any longer. I started out as an automotive tech. I went to work for a local dealer in Tyler, Texas. And this is back in the early 80s when they were stuffing diesel engines and everything, General Motors was.
Oh, yeah.
And they sent me to school.
Unsuccessfully.
Yeah,
I worked for Oldsmobile back in those days, and quite unsuccessful.
Yeah, the 5.7 diesel wasn't really a great.
Who'd you work for in Tyler?
I worked for what used to be King Chevrolet in downtown Tyler, but they decided they want to make a diesel tech out of me, and they sent me to the Houston campus down in the Woodlands, and I did diesel training down there. So I ended up going back to work for UTI, and like we're getting back to these students nowadays. I mean, they're just easily influenced, and they really don't want to. They really don't want to leave home or go anywhere or go away from where they're at. So, I think this industry is in a lot of trouble too because of what you were saying. I mean, these kids, a lot of them just aren't interested in cars anymore. I mean, there's other things that they're interested in. We, as an industry, to figure out how to spark their attention and get them interested in working on automobiles, and get the word out there to them that there is a lucrative income from working on these automobiles.
Ron, it's great to talk to you. We thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us this Saturday morning. Best of luck to you up there at Northeast Texas Community College. What's a good way to get a hold of you?
The best way to get a hold of me is just go to our Facebook page or our website. Facebook page is just a Shelby Automotive Program, and you can get a hold of me on our website, Northeast Texas Community College, just ntcc.edu, or you can get a hold of me on my on my email address. It's with my last name Llewellyn at ntcc.edu.
Ron, you're great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Best of luck to you. Let's stay in touch.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
You bet.
Appreciate you.
Okay, cool. If you'd like to get in touch with us, you can always shoot us an email. Our address here is info@inwheeltime.com, and be sure to follow us on Facebook if you would, please.
Okay.
Time now for the events calendar, not the cruise in, but the events calendar. There's a difference.
I know.
Yes, there is.
Golly gee.
So not tomorrow, but next week is Coffee and Chrome.
Right.
That's Sunday morning.
Sunday morning. October 20th is the 38th annual Wolf Creek Car and Truck and Bike Show at Wolf Creek Park in Cold Spring, Texas. August 12th is the Cypress Cars and Coffee Back to School Drive at the Fairfield Baptist Church. October 28th is OK Turbo Fest in Karam Springs Shriners Club in Waco, Texas.
Octurbo.
Octurbo. I thought it was a great name. Yeah. Creative. Lone Star Drift Round 4 at Motorsports Resort in
Did you read this ahead of time?
No.
Okay.
No. Is August 19th. September 23rd, Lone Star Drift is at the Houston Police Academy at 17,000 Aldine Westfield. And that's September 23rd. And then also October 21st, Lone Star Drift at the Houston Police Academy.
Which, speaking of drifting, we're going to have a guest coming our way. That is going to be Zach Triggs, Fat Cats Racing drifting stuff. And that's going to be at the top of the 10 o'clock hour, Central Time.
A little bit why I did a little research on that.
Now, next week I'll be back up in Detroit, and then the week after that, I believe, is the Woodward Cruise. The week I come back, I think.
Well, that's great timing on your part,
I guess. Well, no, on their part. They should have had it a week earlier.
No, you're right. It's all their fault.
That's right.
Well, maybe you'll get lucky and they'll cancel your flight and you can go to the Dream Cruise.
Mr. Morris has a review now of the Jeep Wagoneer. Can I just kind of kick things off and just ask you right up front, what is the MSRP on this vehicle?
As it was.
All the way down to the bottom over there where it's got, taxes, destination, all that.
Yeah,
numbers.
Yeah. $114,180.
Okay, now you can continue on with your review.
So
we just wanted to put
we know where we're at.
We wanted to know where the perspective was.
Don's the kind of guy that reads the last 3 pages of the book and then starts it over.
Unless he's buying a car, then he's looking at the bottom line first. And so this is the 2023 Grand Wagoneer Series 3. If I say this right, Obsidian.
Obsidian.
That's not the way it.
Obsidian.
That's not the way it sounded out in.
It's Obsidian.
Obsidian. Okay, I'll take your word for it.
It's obscene either way.
It's 4x4.
It's Obsidian.
Yeah.
You're gonna edit all this
Obsidian. Whatever.
You want to start over?
From Neaterville.
Yeah, it's 2020. 2023 Grand Wagoneer, and I did find. Don mentioned earlier that he found a place where it does say Jeep someplace on it. I found it on the Monroney. There's one place where it has the word Jeep. But generally speaking, this says they market it as a Grand Wagoneer and the Grand Wagoneer L, which is new and it's the longer one. But we have the regular Grand Wagoneer Series 3. And I really love the way they did the trims on this. Series 1, Series 2, Series 3. That's it. But then they kind of mucked it up with all the groups they had on it, convenience groups and rear seat entertainment groups and Taylor. They add a bunch of stuff on the end of it, but it starts out good. It's a full-size luxury SUV. The one we had seats 7. It does have the 7-slot grille up front, and so it's like a lot of the large SUVs, nice, big, square, muscular type build. I mean, it looks like it's got substance going down the road. We had the black roof, had some black highlights, black tow hooks. And the wheel insert. So, and that went along with the white paint. We had the bright white paint, and I like white cars, and with that black, nice contrasting, it was a really good color combination, I thought. LED lighting, power running boards on the sides that come out, whenever you step up on them, but they're wide. I mean, these things are almost 9 inches wide, so they're easy to step on. They're not some little skinny little thing that you're going to slip off of. Power lift gate. I had the tri-panel panoramic sunroof. We were rolling some 22-inch polished aluminum wheels with the black inserts. Again, more black trim that really sets off that white paint.
Obsidian.
Touchscreen. I'm ignoring you. I had the on the inside of it, we had the quilted Palermo leather. The front seats were heated, ventilated with massage. Used that a lot. Second row, captain's chairs, heated, ventilated. Third row was 60/40 power folding seats. Up front, we had the 12-inch touchscreen in the front of it that was really nice, easy to read. Of course, it's easy to use because of the Stellantis program that they've got built into it. But the one thing I wanted to point out was, and you can see it on the screen if you happen to be looking at the YouTube video, there is the panel for the USB ports and everything is recessed behind a panel. Well, that panel is actually an additional screen. So you open it up, you put your phone in there for the wireless charging, there's USB ports and everything else you need. But when you close that, it's all out of sight, out of mind. It doesn't go anyplace. But that becomes a screen, and you can adjust your massaging seats and several other things, so you have an additional screen to work with besides what's up there on the top. And I thought it was a really nice touch, and it was really well executed. I love that part of it. Macintosh Entertainment System, 23 speakers, including the Amazon Fire TV for the rear entertainment system, which is 2 10-inch speakers behind the rear seats.
So they could watch us while we're driving down the road.
Absolutely.
The Amazon Fire.
There you go. Now, to make all this stuff go down that road, you like this, Don? Inline 6 turbocharged, 510 horsepower, 500 pound-feet of torque.
That's that new inline six that they're using, and how was it?
Oh, man. Like I said, I thought it was a V8 to begin with.
Yeah.
Twin turbo.
510 horsepower, 500 pound-feet of torque. So It's got a lot of low-end juice, and that's the standard motor on the Series 2 and Series 3. It was backed by an 8-speed automatic. It'll tow 10,000 pounds properly equipped with a tow package, which this one had. EPA says it's rated for 14 in the city, Highway 20, and combined 17. Now, due to some other things going on, I didn't get to get it out on the highway much, except for just a couple of quick passes. So I only put 100 miles on this vehicle, all in town. So don't count
And what fuel mileage did you get?
Well, there's things going on, and so it most of it was
It
in
sat
town.
in the driveway most of the time you had it.
No, it was just 2 miles to here, 2 miles to there.
He's looking for a new house cleaner.
Yeah. Moving the vacuum cleaner. But this thing had plenty of power, and I really believe it could tow that 10,000 pounds. I would like to have had the opportunity to try it.
Good looking truck.
It is, particularly with that black and white. Like I say, we had the standard air suspension on it. You can raise it up. You can actually get an extra 10 inches of clearance if you're going off-roading in this vehicle. And it also
off-roading
lowers.
in something like that.
To me, it's more like you got into some mud and sand, but they listed it as an off-roading.
Okay.
You lower it down for exiting, but again, with the running boards, it was real easy. I love those running boards. Now, the base model price on this vehicle is $89,995. Now, the base trim price for the Series 3, $107,995. Now, by the time you throw in a few other little options, packages, and the $2,000 destination fee,
Of course.
it kicks it up to $114,180. Now, if you're looking for something to compare that to in that large luxury SUV, of course, you're going to go look at a Cadillac Escalade. It's going to start out at $88,095. Maybe even the Lincoln Navigator that's going to be kicking out at about $97,000, I believe, on the base level. And then or you could look over at a Lexus LX at $92,100. But again, this is the Grand Wagoneer from Jeep, even if they don't claim it.
Thank you, Mike Obsidian Mars.
I swear that's how it told me to say that.
The In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available 24/7 through the iHeartRadio app. Just look for In-Wheel Time Car Talk.
And he's the author.
Yeah. We also stream on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and InWheelTime.com. 30-minute podcast at your fingertips and over a dozen of the most popular podcast outlets. The In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show continues right after this break. Oh, there you go. Everyone at the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In at the Loopy Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, thank you for participating in the best cruise in around and look forward to seeing you again. You'll hear about the next cruise in date right here on In Wheel Time. Next time you're in the West Houston Energy Corridor area, be sure and stop in at the original Loopy Tortilla Tex-Mex at I-10 and Highway 6 or the Katy location on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard. When passing through Beaumont or College Station, stop in and have Loopy's award-winning beef fajitas and frozen margaritas. There's always a celebration at Loopy Tortilla. Loopy Tortilla founder Stan Holt and his wife Sheila are winning racers on the NHRA drag racing circuit and have a collection of hot rods and classics that everyone appreciates. Look for them at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In. The date will be announced soon and will once again be held at the Loopy Tortilla Tex-Mex on 99 and Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. We'll give you all the details right here on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show and online. Donations benefit God's Garage. We'll see you then. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In Wheel Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InWheelTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel. It's the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Coming up, Kevin Fitzpatrick with Opus IVS, a remote auto repair facilitator. Later, a look at the automotive news headlines this week. We got lots of them. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World Mars, King Conrad DeLong. We always need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us while we wait for Kevin Fitzpatrick to join us. We just had a slight discussion about washing your hands at an automotive facility. Now, Conrad swears up and down by automatic transmission fluid. Clean, I would assume.
Yeah. Brand new automatic
and
transmission
so you
fluid.
wash it up just like you would with soap. And
Took that smell, because I did all diesel and differential work, and it would literally take that aroma out of your hands. And that's what I liked about it, is because I hated,
what is that nice fragrance? Why? That's ATF.
Well,
what?
after you wash your hands, did you feel shiftless?
Yeah.
I worked at a facility one time in my life years ago that had a round wash basin.
Oh, they
if you
all
want to
did,
call
yeah.
it that.
Oh, yeah.
A great big huge thing, and it had a foot
starter.
Yeah.
right. And so you'd press your foot down on it, and then this big sprinkler thing in this round deal would come down.
Get your pants wet.
Get your pants wet, make it look like you peed your pants. But you know,
Is that what you told people, Don?
That's what he tells people.
That's what I lied and told them that. But at any rate, and then we had some sort of soap, liquid soap, but it wasn't like, it was like lava, but in a liquid form. And oh my God, my
Gritty.
hands,
Yeah, it was
gritty, and my hands were all calloused up.
Yeah. The way it cleaned
Dry.
was by removing 4 layers of skin.
Yeah, exactly. The good old days.
Yes.
We know that you didn't have that, did you, Mr. Mars? You never used anything like that, did you?
You never got just use gasoline.
Gasoline. There you go. That's great.
As a lineman.
It cut everything, you know.
It did. Yes, it did. Set your hands on fire and everything.
Yeah, but just be careful, don't scratch while you're
Yeah, washing.
washing. Yes.
Yeah. Did you ever do any of that?
I never
Eating
got dirty.
crawfish.
You didn't?
Exactly.
Well, the
Wash
soap,
3
well, you
times.
talked about the soap, the gritty soap, and the
Round wash
yeah,
basin?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
everybody did that.
Yeah.
Okay. Kevin Fitzpatrick is the vice president of operations for a company called Opus IVS. And I'm not going to try to explain it. We'll just let him do it because I gained some knowledge in our last application of Zoom calls.
Okay.
In other words, let the guest handle it.
Exactly. Kevin Fitzpatrick, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Well, we're very well. Thank you very much. It's hot down here in Texas. Where are you?
I'm back here in New York. I was in Dallas just day before yesterday, as a matter of fact, and it was quite hot there, I will say.
Where in New York are you?
I'm in Long Island right now. I'm in West Babylon. I'm in actually one of my shops where I have an office. So it's a little bit warm here as well.
Kevin, tell us what Opus IVS is and what they do.
So Opus IVS, we provide services, tools and services to the collision and the mechanical space. So we're really big in remoting right now. So we do pre and post scanning, vehicle programming, and technical support. So we're really good at remoting expertise into the shop.
Who is your clients?
Our clients are collision shops, general repair shops, and in some cases, like for instance, resellers of vehicles around the country.
Interesting.
So you offer technical support to these facilities?
That's correct. Like for instance, in a collision shop, before a vehicle is returned to the owner, we'll perform a scan on the vehicle to make sure that all of the systems that were there pre-collision are all and working properly, so that when the customer gets the car back, I mean, again, it is in a pre-collision state. Everything is up and working exactly the way it should from a calibration.
How do you know that though? You take pictures of it, or how does that work?
We actually have a device that plugs into the vehicle.
Into the ALDL connector?
That's correct. And it goes into every one of the systems and makes sure that all of the systems, it actually interfaces and makes sure that all of those systems are up and going. And if a calibration is required, we're able to interface. We can actually work with the technician that's on site, have them place a target in front of the vehicle, and we'll put the computer into a mode where it's actually able to perform that calibration.
Oh, for all of the lane departure cameras, reverse cameras, and stuff. Yeah, because that's quite a thing right now with getting windshields replaced. You've got to get everything, all the cameras recalibrated, and you'd be surprised. There's 4 and 5 cameras on some cars that have to get recalibrated once it's worked on.
That's like one of those iPhones that's got all the lenses on it, 5 lenses or something.
Windshield, lane departure, radar. Yeah, I mean, like I said, these vehicles have tons and tons of technology on them. I mean, it's a bit of a challenge for shops today, both collision and mechanical. It's both an issue and an opportunity for these shops.
So you guys are real intelligence, not artificial intelligence. You have live people working on your calls, talking to these shops and helping them work through whatever technical issues they have, or doing the inspection of the car. And when you do this end of job inspection of the vehicle, do you provide some kind of document to the shop that they can present to the customer saying it's been inspected and all things are working?
That's correct. We're actually using factory software. So if it's a General Motors, we're going to use a GM software. BMW software. So we're actually using factory software that we actually remote to the vehicle. So we provide them a factory report so that they can see exactly that we went into every single system and basically verify that every system is operating exactly the way it should, which is peace of mind both for the shop returning it to their customer and for the vehicle owner, and in the case of a collision shop, the insurance company as well, to make sure, because there's an insurance company between the insured and the collision shop, right?
So you're doing more than just a DTC scan. You're actually doing functionality testing of certain programs, certain systems inside the vehicle.
Correct. Making sure that it is operating, as designed. For instance, we have there's things like seat weight sensors, right? Just to make sure that everything is operating and calibrated,
And having the OEM software is very expensive.
Correct. And again, that's where, like I said, so we're controlling cost for a lot of these shops too. Especially if we can speak for the mechanical side for a second. The complexity of these vehicles is so huge today. If I'm, in the Northeast or anywhere like me, if you have a 3 or a 5 bay repair shop, gone are the days where the expectation is, one size fits all. If you have a technician and, if you can fix a GM, you can fix a Ford. If you can fix a Ford, you can fix a BMW. Those days are gone.
Way behind us, yeah.
Yeah, you need a guy who is almost factory trained across a number of these vehicles, because the technology really doesn't transfer. So you need somebody who kind of has a degree of training across a number of or specifically on these vehicles.
So where do you locate your operators, your call center people?
We get them directly from the dealership. So when we hire a technician, and we've got call centers or our technology centers. We have one in Huntington Beach. We have one in Comac, right here in the center of Long Island. We have our largest, which is a 50,000 square foot center, right outside of Ann Arbor, Michigan. Another one down in North Carolina. So we have them all over. We get guys directly from the dealer network. So we hire a guy with a minimum of 7 years factory experience, dealer experience. And then we put these guys, they come to us. We have guys with 20 plus years experience. So we'll give a guy with, their knees are going, from getting down on their knees and setting up these lifts over all these years, and they'll come to us, with all of that experience, and we'll put them on the phone and put them with our customer base, and now their new job is interfacing with customers and helping them fix our thousands of customers across the U.S.
Yeah, all of the manufacturers, all the OEMs have some kind of what I call a tech line that an OEM dealership can call in to ask for help, be it from GM or Ford or Chrysler or whomever. But you're basically a tech line for the OEMs as well as for the independent operators that are out there. And is your service sold on a per call basis, or do you do it as a subscription?
We have both. We have per call and we have a subscription basis. And, this works out really well for the consumer, because we're helping these shops get it fixed right the first time. There's not a lot of guessing that goes on. There's not a lot of parts replacement that goes on, in a hopes of repairing the vehicle. So we're controlling quite a few costs, for these shops. Remoting the expertise is something that's helped out tremendously. In reality, this is a model that was adopted by the manufacturers a few years ago, almost in parallel with us. What the manufacturers do really is they've got a central hub of information themselves, where they're what we call the ATEC, if we can use that term. These ATECs are now kind of in a central location, and the dealerships are now kind of plugging in and utilizing these guys remotely as well.
So I work at a Goober Lube, and I call into your operation, and let's say I'm working on a Jaguar F-Pace with a DTC code. How do I get routed to the correct operator in your operation? Because I want to talk to the guy who knows something about Jaguar.
Not at Goober Lube, you're not.
Well, again, the only thing we ask is, we like qualified guys. Goober Lube is, again, I'm never going to be the guy that's going to downplay the guy in the service bay, right? So, good techs in service bays, we ask them to plug in our device, which in our case is our Drive Pro. They'll plug our device into the vehicle. It's going to pull a packet of information out, which is now the tech is going to hit a button that says request support. It's going to send information into our call center, which is going to be the VIN number, which includes obviously year, make, model, engine, and a ton of other information. That's going to go into our CRM. It's then going to get routed to one of our Jag Master techs, and within a few moments, the tech is going to pull that ticket, and all of that information is going to be pulled up on his screen. He's then going to use factory information, and he's going to pull all of the information on that vehicle. He's going to look it up through our database to see if we've seen this particular issue before.
Right.
Now, the interesting thing with us is, being that we interface with, upwards of 800 to 1,000 customers a day, lots of Jags, lots of Land Rovers, BMWs. In many cases, we've seen this issue before. So we'll then go back to the customer, and we're going to give them one or two test steps, and lo and behold, oftentimes we hit it within minutes.
So that's a thing I was wondering about. So if I have the next new Goober Lube franchise and I want to talk to you, so I've got to make arrangements in advance. I've got to, I guess, set up an account to get that piece of equipment to tie in so you can help me?
Correct. Give us a call. We send you the equipment, and we'll set you up an account. And again, that's kind of how it goes. Now, the cool thing about it is the more times we're interfacing with customers, the better our system, the better our systems and all systems get.
It's all about data, and the more data you get, the more calls you get, and
bigger
the more
library
successes you have, the library grows, which helps the search argument when you're looking for DTC, whatever it is. Yeah.
What is your
I'm sorry?
What is your competition in your space?
There's a number of them, and a couple of them have been growing over the years. And we've got a few legs up over them. Number one, all of our technicians again come from again factory, the factory. There's a couple like Autel for one. They pull guys from the aftermarket to help them. They're not pulling guys from the factory. The interesting thing about Opus is this: like if we program a module, for instance, we do a lot of remote programming. Anything can happen when you're programming a module. One of the things I'll say is this: if you're programming a module, if you have a 3-year-old module and you go to put the latest programming in it, we all have computers. You go to do an update. If you put a new programming in a 4-year-old computer, right? It's like trying to put the latest Windows update in a 4-year-old computer. Sometimes it won't take it. Sometimes it crashes and you wind up buying a new computer, right?
Yeah, we got a couple of those over here.
Yeah. With us, we warranty the module. If a module fails when Opus is programming it, we replace the module. We pay for the module. You know what I mean? So we have a pretty unique offering where, most of these other guys do not. If it fails, it's on you.
Kevin, how long has Opus been in business?
We have been in business for a long time, but we weren't called Opus, and we're kind of unique. Our original company was Drew Technologies. Now, Drew Technologies was really the first and the biggest in the J2534 space. I mean, pioneers in vehicle communications. And then they started doing a ton of acquisitions, the first of which was Autologic, really, which was the biggest in the European diagnostic space. Then they bought Auto Ingenuity, which was a really strong, again, another one of these diagnostic companies. Blue Link, which was a really great remoting company, and again, on and on and on. So we just started buying more and more companies to build out our offering. So then we became Opus IVS, Intelligent Vehicle Support. So as cars became more intelligent, we kind of jumped on the whole idea of remoting our expertise, just to kind of make sure that, we were in front of this whole thing. So we have Tesla technicians and everything. So we're kind of on the forefront of this whole thing.
Your interface device, is it more of a laptop or more of, I come from the GM world, more like a MIDI module that has internet?
I'm sorry, it's a tablet. It's a tablet PC, and in that tablet PC, it has our signature device from our Drew Tech days was our Cardac. It's got the Cardac technology built directly into it. So
it sounds like one of those tablets that the doctor uses now in the office.
Mm-hmm. Where does he plug that in?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So again, it plugs into all makes and models. We had to come out with a special cable set to work with Tesla. But again, it's our window into your vehicle, our window into your issue.
For your subscribers, then, they have to have a minimum level of internet access for you to be able to remote stuff in, because I know if you're remoting in a program to a PCM and the internet goes down, all hell breaks loose.
That's correct. Like I said, it works wirelessly. You know what I mean? It works extremely well wirelessly. Again, we've been doing this for a long time, and obviously the wireless technology has gotten real good. I'll be honestly, again, I'm a shop owner as well. I've been in this space for 30 years now. If I'm doing a larger programming file, I put a cable into it. You know what I mean? Again, that's just because I'm a little bit older. I only trust the wireless piece so much, but
right.
The wireless stuff. If you've got a strong signal, it works great.
As well as put the vehicle on a flat charge charger, not a cycling charger that's up and down and on and off to give you voltage surges.
Correct. The devices we sell into the collision space, and the way that they work in their workflow, it's actually cellular as well. So those devices, like that they're using them up, the front counters, and the way that they use them, and that, like as I said, in their workflow, they're cellular as well. So they're actually 4G.
It's if I understood it right, once I've got my account set up and I've got the equipment here, and I'm the new franchisee for Gooberlube, but I only need your service once a month, maybe when I run into some oddball thing that it's over my head, and I really need that extra help. So I can come to you for help on a one-time basis without necessarily subscribing, right?
And get you logged into Zoom.
Yep, you can utilize our device as a fully functional stand tool. If once a month you have a module you need to program, it's a pay-per-use. If once every month you have a vehicle that your team can't solve, it's pay-per-use. Pay us once a month and call us once a month. If you're a really big shop and you guys wind up with you're fixing 500 cars in a month and you need us 10 times, then you go for our unlimited plan. So again, we have a number of
kind of work
plans.
out the numbers based on the usage.
Kevin, for people that are in the automotive business, how do they get a hold of you? Do you have a website, phone number?
Yep.
What's that all about?
OpusIVS.com. And like I said, just come in and you can fully functional website. Come in, take a look at our different offers, and like I said, we're happy to help anybody. But we're here to help. Like I said, anybody in the space, both collision and mechanical. But the whole idea here is, like I said, the reason we exist is the whole idea of remoting expertise. Not everybody here you'll fix cars faster. You know what I mean? By just kind of getting to the fix quicker. That's all.
That's opusivs.com. Kevin Fitzpatrick, thank you so much for joining us today. Great knowledge. Sounds like a great deal. And we encourage all of the shops around town to get a hold of you.
Great, guys. Thanks for having me. Stay cool.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay.
Cool.
It is cool. I'm going to save Hemmings Sold Cars Roundup for later.
Oh, man.
Well, I know that's disappointing for you.
I've put his Opus IVS on our social media.
Yeah.
It's a great
like
idea. There's other programs out there as well, but his sounds pretty good. It comes with the hardware and everything.
Yeah. And he sounds like a straightforward kind of guy. All right.
Did he mention the cost of it?
No, I was kind of where I was headed,
but not a dollar amount.
Yeah.
Time now to look at some of the stories making automotive news headlines. We can do recalls or we can go to news. What would you like? This is a vote. What are you doing, Mars? You can't do the vote. You can't do the vote.
Let's do news.
We want to do news?
Sure.
You don't want to do the recalls?
We have time to do recalls.
Mars?
I think news would be good this year.
News. Okay. All right, we'll do news then.
You didn't ask Jeff.
What you want lunch?
I want to do lunch.
Well, you brought the donuts.
I know.
Did you eat any?
No.
Okay. Thank you for bringing them, by the way.
All right.
Online used car vehicle retailer Carvana
Your favorite.
Oh, boy.
announced better than expected second quarter results and a new debt restructuring deal.
How many times have we heard that?
Analysts lauded the improved results and the flexibility afforded by the deal. But those same analysts and others noted that the debt relief is temporary and the company still reported a significant, if much narrower, loss. Carvana needs to demonstrate its business model can consistently deliver results, they said.
They spend a lot on TV advertising. That's
Well,
for
there
sure.
you
And
go.
lawyers.
And lawyers
Yeah.
and banks. Tesla has started offering consumers 84-month auto loans after Elon Musk said the car maker would have to do something about rising interest rates. Company now includes 7-year loans as an option on its U.S. order pages after previously offering loans as long as 72 months. While extending loan terms can lower car buyers' monthly payments, consumers tend to pay more in interest and face greater risk of owing more than their vehicle is worth, and don't we know that?
Yep.
Yeah, because you got to think in a 60-month loan, you're upside down until about 42, 44 months.
I'm thinking 61.
In Canada, Tesla is offering 96-month loans,
Well, that's
according
because
to
the
its
Canadian dollar's worth less.
whatever. Terms call for a $7,500 down payment with an interest rate of 6.83%. Yeesh.
Thanks, Elon. X.
An electric truck previously damaged from a fire behind Nikola Corporation's headquarters in Phoenix reignited Sunday afternoon, according to the company. Nikola said it's suspecting foul play behind the fire last month. The June fire affected multiple trucks but caused no injuries.
So they're blaming it on a bird.
Fires come as the company pivots its business toward hydrogen-powered vehicles. Nikola announced 270 job cuts last month in
that'll
Europe
go
and
over like
North
the
America.
Hindenburg.
Was that hydrogen?
Yes.
It was hydrogen, wasn't it?
Yes. Oh, the humanity.
KSA Industries. Does that ring a bell with you?
Nope.
No, none of you.
KS what?
KSA.
Is that a radio station? KSA?
KSA Industries. KSA Industries.
KOA. Oh, go ahead, Don.
KSA Industries, the owner of the Tennessee Titans football team, has sold its 3 dealerships, all in Texas. KSA Industries, diversified holding company that owns the NFL's Tennessee Titans, this spring sold its 3 dealerships to two separate transactions and appears to have exited auto retail. KSA Industries is the privately held family business of late founder Bud Adams. Haven't heard that name in a while. The Titans have roots here in Houston, where they were known as the Houston Oilers. And by the way, the Titans are changing their uniforms to the old Houston Oilers uniforms.
Are they?
For that one game. For that one game.
I don't know. Besides the football team, Adams Holdings included a handful of new car dealerships since the 1960s. One of them was Southwest Lincoln Mercury, I believe it was, there at Hillcroft and 59. Adams died in 2013. KSA Industries is selling some assets to raise cash after winning approval in April for a new Nashville stadium to replace Nissan Stadium. It's expected to cost at least $1.9 billion.
Thank you, Bud. Yeah, thank you, citizens of Tennessee.
And be paid for through a mix of private and public funding. KSA Industries on April 6th sold 2 Lincoln stores. In that transaction, Chris Poulos went from general manager to owner, buying West Point Lincoln and West Point Lincoln of Sugar Land, both in Houston. The dealership names remain. In a second transaction on May 2nd, KSA Industries sold West Point Buick GMC in Houston to dealer Tom Durant, owner of Classic Auto Group. The store was renamed Classic Elite Buick GMC.
And so you got Durant on 45, and in Tennessee, they got to sell a lot of moonshine to build that stadium.
Well, Durant is they own he's owner partner in the Classic Chevrolet in Sugar Land, Houston.
Right, but he took over if there was a Ford store on 45.
And then their home base is Grapevine, which is actually, if I remember, that's where Buzz worked. Was at Classic Chevrolet in Grapevine.
Oh, really? Huh. Well, that's interesting.
It's all tied together. And Bud Adams.
Yeah,
I remember when he snuck the Oilers out of town.
The jersey switch is only for that one game when they play the Texans.
Oh, is that all it is? Well, that's disappointing. All right. Well, that's it for this hour of the In Real Time Car Talk Show. We've got more here on iHeartRadio right after this quick break. Everyone at the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In at the Lupe Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, thank you for participating in the best cruise in around and look forward to seeing you again. You'll hear about the next cruise in date right here on In Real Time. Next time you're in the West Houston Energy Corridor area, be sure and stop in at the original Lupe Tortilla Tex-Mex at I-10 and Highway 6 or the Katy location on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard. When passing through Beaumont or College Station, stop in and have Lupe's award-winning beef fajitas and frozen margaritas. There's always a celebration at Lupe Tortilla. Lupe Tortilla founder Stan Holt and his wife Sheila are winning racers on the NHRA drag racing circuit and have a collection of hot rods and classics that everyone appreciates. Look for them at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise-In. The date will be announced soon and will once again be held at the Lupe Tortilla Tex-Mex on 99 and Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. We'll give you all the details right here on the In Real Time Car Talk Show and online. Donations benefit God's Garage. We'll see you then. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In Real Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In Real Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InRealTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel. Live on iHeartRadio and the Smoke and Mirrors Network, it's the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Coming up, we talk with the president.
Oh, no.
The king potentate.
Biff Phillips.
Yep.
Of the Classic Chevy Car Club. I drove the 2023 Chevy Silverado 3/4 ton. I'll give you my impression of it. We also have the Cruise In calendar coming up. Conrad has This Week in Auto History, and I'll have you more stories making automotive news headlines this week. It's all just ahead in this hour of the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World Mars, King Conrad DeLong. We always need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Thanks so much for joining us. Now, let's look up this man's nose. His name is Biff Phillips. Biff, I did not know that your first name is really Greg.
Well, that's an alias, yes.
An alias.
Didn't they just have a congressional hearing on aliases? Oh, no, that was aliens.
Yeah.
Aliens. That's it. Well, I mean, Biff can be considered an alien. You know, it's good to see you, my friend, and talk to you, and hope all is well on your end.
Yeah, everything's going pretty good. It's just a little hot for cruises, but we're trying to survive that so we can go on some cruises and, get the club together again.
Is the AC working in the 55?
It is. It is.
Do you have vintage? Do you have vintage air in that thing?
I do. Vintage air, yes, sir.
So he has a beautiful 55, yellow and white
210.
210, the two-door, and it is sweet.
It'd be a post, right?
Yeah, I think the 210 meant it was a post.
Biff, how long have you had that car?
I've had the car since about, I bought it in 1990. I worked at Mossy Oldsmobile, and a guy, I bought it from him and drove it for about 2 years. It was black with a black vinyl interior. And then, 99, we decided to go ahead and take it apart and build it. So that took 12 years.
Well, that's
we don't want to rush these things.
Yeah, and not only that, but we know that project cars like that take some time because you don't have the time, generally speaking, to put all the hundreds of hours that it takes to take a car apart and completely redo it and put it back together.
Well, I didn't realize he worked at Mossy Oldsmobile in 1990. I was calling on Mossy as a field engineer.
You don't recognize Conrad, do you?
From the field engineering?
But I wasn't sure whether it was there, or in jail.
Well, here, let me let you look at me from behind.
Oh my God! Oh, here we go. I can tell that this is going south already, so to speak.
But well, cool. So what's going on with Classic Chevrolet?
Well, wait, before we get to that, I want to know about the car. I want a little bit more detail on the car. So what kind of motors it got in it?
Well, I actually, when I bought it, it was a 350 4-bolt, and so we pulled it out and went through it, and it's a 383 stroker motor, 700 transmission, Ford 9-inch. It's mini tubbed.
All right.
And runs real good.
Yeah.
I just put injection on it. I thought about injection and it really helped.
It did? What, reliability or
startability?
Well, yeah. And the mileage is better. I drove it to our last convention, Lone Star 40 in San Marcos in April. And it ran real good up there and back. And so
did Greg Enders have anything to do with any of the rebuild or the transfer from carbureted to injected?
Yeah. I bought his. He had a white pickup with that injection on it. He took it off, so I bought it from him and put it on my truck.
Did he help you?
Not at all.
Imagine that. When was the last time you talked to him?
Actually, it was, I talked about once a week.
Really?
He likes you more than he does Don. Don hadn't talked to him in a while.
I haven't talked to him in a while, nor have I seen him in a while. What is he doing?
Well, he had his shoulder operated on, and he's been recovering from that. And then he had COVID. He went to Tennessee a couple of weeks ago and came back with COVID. So he's he's in the house right now.
Well, you got to bring souvenirs back.
That's right. Now let's talk about the Classic Chevy Club. My gosh, I think that club has been around forever. Am I wrong?
We founded the club in 1989. That's when it was founded, and we at that time there were a bunch of clubs in the state. There was Amarillo, San Angelo, Dallas, Austin, Corpus, and the Austin club. They started in 1979. So they're probably one of the oldest ones.
Now, are these all Tri-5 clubs or just classic Chevys?
Tri-5 clubs.
Tri-5s, okay.
Not many of them.
Huh?
There's not many of them left because,
everybody's dead.
Well, we've lost Fred Arnold and Pee Wee Bowen and a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's just,
well, it goes with the territory. I mean,
just age out.
Yeah, we age out, and it was my buddy Ross Putnam that had the 55 that I helped him wrench on back in high school, so I can relate. But back then, with the 55, the 56, and the 57, that's what we did in 1969. We worked on other guys' Tri-5 Chevys, and so we're all getting older, not newer. And that just kind of goes along with the territory. You got any new members, so to speak?
We've had a couple of people join, and the problem is that the kids nowadays aren't interested in the Tri-5s. They're interested in the rice burners and in the drifting and all that. So it's hard. They like to come to the shows and look at them, but it's hard for a kid to say, okay, I'm going to build a 55 and go drive it.
Well, why don't you take your 55 out and go drifting?
I've done that, but it was an accident.
Well, I will tell you that the one thing that I always remember about the 55, and I have not crawled around in one since high school, but there sure was a ton of room underneath the hood for a small block Chevrolet. Yeah, easy to work on.
And lots of other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's, you can open the hood and get to anything on the engine. Today's cars is all plastic on top. You can't even see it.
Yeah.
But yes.
The simplicity of the time.
Yes.
So simple, they didn't even have an oil filter. You just put a roll of toilet paper in there.
Oh, Lord. I knew somebody that did that. And the toilet
wasn't the smartest thing to do.
No, it wasn't, because the toilet
you don't want to use Charmin. You want to use real stiff stuff.
Yeah, like the stuff that you'd steal out of the porta cans. Right? That's what I'm talking about.
I don't know, Don. I've never stolen toilet paper from a porta can. You have?
I don't know if I've stolen the toilet paper.
Or borrowed it.
We
but
turned,
never returned
back
it.
in the day, we turned a few over. We never turned any over that had anybody in them, though. We never did that.
Blue Man Group.
The Blue Man Group.
So what's your next upcoming event, Biff?
Well, probably there's a club in town here called the Houston Area Chevy Club, and it's all sorts of Chevys. And we go cruising with them a lot of places. We'll make a run up to Brenham and have lunch. But I think the next biggest one, we're going to try to go to Fredericksburg like we used to do.
Would I be invited to that with my Chevy?
Bet. You bet. Yes.
Yeah, if that would be okay with you, could I tag along?
Yeah. We had our last Lone Star Convention in April. That was 40 years.
Oh, wow.
Started by the Austin Club in 1983, excuse me. And so it was started there, and 40 years later, we ended it. So that was a lot of fun every year to get all the clubs from around the state and out of state and just spend a weekend. And it was really a lot of fun.
Biff, what is your regular car that you use every day?
The Ford F-150 pickup.
Okay.
And my wife has a car, but I use my truck.
So are any of your members going to be in Georgetown tomorrow at the Tri-5 meet in off of Austin Avenue for Classic?
I don't think so. In Georgetown, it's just, we're old folk. It's too hot.
Yeah, true.
You guys are troopers. I've seen you at places, and we're so spread out. That's the other part. Years ago, you could get anywhere in Houston in 30 minutes, and now with all the population boom, we've got people from Galveston to Brenham in our club.
Yeah, you can't get from 610 to Beltway 8 in 30 minutes.
Pretty much, that's right. By the way, you'll be interested to note, or maybe not, that I poked Stan Holt this week to say, hey, Stan, maybe we need to start talking about a Tailpipes and Tacos cruise in again. And he said, let me look at my calendar. So he's looking at his calendar. And I don't know how long it takes to look at the calendar, but we're hoping to get a date out of him for the next Tailpipes and Tacos. And I know that you always attend those events.
Well, yeah, and I came up with the name, so I feel kind of attached to it.
So it's your fault.
It's your fault. And so you need to poke Stan and say, hey, Stan, I know that Don reached out to you for a date.
Well, I texted him one time and said, Stan, I need to know what's going on because I've got people calling me towards the third Saturday saying, what are you going to do? And for Tailpipes and Tacos, a lot of people wanted to come. And at that time, he was
Racing.
going over his schedule, and racing. So I said, well, just let me know when we're going to do it because I can put it out on Facebook.
Right.
And so that's all. He's the boss.
Yeah, I know. And so I'm at this point, I think that we're looking at maybe somewhere around the 1st of October. Certainly not in August.
Didn't we? We did Shirley Muldowney in August when she came down. That was August. That was so hot.
Hot.
Yeah, she was melting.
Yeah.
Like the rest of us, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's the way it is. Well, so is the car in the garage this morning?
Garage, it's in the garage, yes, sir. It'll be. I'll take it out this afternoon. I try to drive it once a week, just for an hour and a half or so. I call it therapy.
Well, yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, you got to keep.
Is that therapy for you or for the car?
For me.
The car has already been through therapy and it's all well healed. Mm-hmm. And I guess what do you do? Just change the oil once a year in the thing?
No, probably twice a year. I don't go past 3,000 miles without changing it.
Yeah,
so, every day, obviously.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's funny because the Corvette, it usually is about a year, and I'll get 3,000 miles on it, and I change it. It's an LS1 engine. It doesn't need to be changed at 3,000 miles, but I do it anyway.
Yeah.
In 3,000 miles, it's probably burned 2 quarts.
It has not. It doesn't burn any oil. What are you talking
Biff,
about?
Do LS engines burn oil?
I have no idea.
Yes, they do.
Okay, well, mine doesn't, so mine's an anomaly.
You're a lucky young man.
Well, it only has 34,000 miles on it. Maybe that has something to do with it.
And I say young because I know we tend to pick on you about your age.
No, you tend to pick on
I tend to pick on you about your age. But do you know, this week, Mick Jagger turned 80.
Mm-hmm.
And what am I supposed to say about that?
He's older than you.
Shaboop.
Okay, fine.
It's like
Because you can't get no satisfaction.
I can't get no satisfaction.
That's because he
Thank you.
can't hold the magazine long enough. Biff, one of the things my wife asked
One-handed.
It's only one-handed.
My wife asked me who all was going to be on the show, and I was telling her a few things, and I said, and Biff's going to finally join us. And she said, Biff, the guy from Back to the Future? And I said, no, not that, Biff. And she said, oh, never mind.
Biff, speaking of which, how in the world did you get the nickname of Biff?
Okay. I had a buddy I worked with. His name was Ralph Singleton. Great guy. And his nickname was Radar. And we worked together, and it seemed like everywhere I went to work, there was either a Greg or a Craig.
Yep.
So he said, and then we had a guy there. His name was Craig, and I was Greg. He said, I've got a buddy of mine, and his name is Bill Phillip, but his nickname is Biff. He said, I'm going to call you Biff and call him Craig. That was 1975. And
it stuck.
It's really, it's kind of a boring thing, but that's exactly how I got my name.
Just to differentiate you from the other guy.
Well, at least he didn't come up with it. Somebody else did.
Right.
That's good. I like it. I've never asked you that question. I didn't know the story.
No. That's all I ever knew was Biff.
I get that a lot, too. And people come by my car and yell out, like you said, Back to the Future, because they see the plate says Biff's 55. And I've been in parades and they go, I tell them it's death of a salesman.
Nice. Biff, it's great to talk to you, my friend.
Hey, it's been fun. And looking forward to going back to Loopy's.
Yeah, I know. Tailpipes and tacos. Put the word out. And
best Tex-Mex in Texas.
We're gonna put the squeeze on Stan to come up with a date for us. We know that Ennis, the Texas Motorplex Fall Nationals, happens in October, so we got to work around that. But and there's also Halloween, needless to say. But we got hopefully we'll get something early in October. Biff, great to talk to you, my friend. Let's stay in touch, and we'll see you at the next Tailpipes and Tacos.
You bet. Enjoyed it.
Thank you. I did.
Thanks.
Too. It's always good to talk to him. Mm-hmm. I like him. So laid back and a good car guy from way back.
Yep, that's it.
Okay, why don't we do the cruise-in calendar, speaking of Tailpipes and Tacos?
Saturday, this afternoon, starting at 11 to 3 p.m. is Saturday at the Ranch Harley-Davidson in College Station, and it's an open cruise-in.
For cars or motorcycles?
Cars and motorcycles. Tonight, 5 to 10 p.m. is Nifty 50s up in the Woodlands. Also tonight, 6 to 7 p.m. is Meet and Ride muscle cars at Cox Road and Conroe. It's an open cruise, and they're going to cruise over to Nifty 50s. Hot Nights and Cool Tunes at Douglas Street and Alamo Street in Brenham, Texas, to cruise in with open parking starting at 6:30 p.m. And then summer cruise in at 3 Acres Food Truck Park in Santa Fe, Texas, is tonight at 6 to 9. Camaros of Houston cruise to Lake Livingston kicks off tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. and they're going to leave from the Cinemark at Valley Ranch Parkway in New Caney, which is basically the intersection of Beltway 8 and 59, 69, whatever they call that road today.
Gotcha.
East Tex Freeway.
Cars and Cocktails at Little Woodrow's starts tomorrow at 11 to 3 p.m., and that's off of Timbertech Avenue in Tomball. H-Town Summer Slab and Bike Fest at 13310 Cullen Boulevard in Houston.
And that's
310.
That would be 310.
Yeah, correct. And that's
well, you were correcting Mars earlier, so now it's your turn.
Obsidian.
Oh, what did you say, Mars? It wasn't Obsidian.
Obesity.
I'm busy working with David Ainsley here at the moment.
All right.
And then, like I mentioned to Biff, is tomorrow starting at 8 a.m. in Georgetown, Texas, is the Tri-5 meet, and that's at 501 South Austin. And then out there in Beaumont tomorrow, starting at 5 p.m., is the Shitbox Cruisers meet and greet at Texas First Bank in Beaumont, Texas.
We can't say that on the air.
We're not supposed to.
We need to scratch the name of that. I'm sorry, but that doesn't cut it.
The poop box.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, whatever. But the other one doesn't work.
I didn't name their club.
I didn't say that you did, but we don't have to say it.
Okay. But that's Beaumont. Why don't you go by, Mike, and say hi?
Yeah, no, better yet, we'll get him to change the name of the car club.
Yeah, so we can talk about him.
Yeah, well, that's not anymore. Okay.
That's it. Back to you, Don.
Thank you so much. Time now for this hour's car review. The 2024.
Jeffrey's got.
I got it out of order for some reason. Never mind. Go ahead. I'll get it.
Do I need to wait for you or something? Okay.
I'll get it.
Time now for this hour's car review. The 2024 Chevrolet Silverado 2500. Or, to us laymen, it would be a 3/4 ton pickup truck. Stop. Available trim levels on this is the work truck or the WT, the custom, the LT, the LTZ, and the high country. The reviewed trim level for this week is the LTZ 4-wheel drive crew cab with the diesel engine. 3/4 ton pickup truck. So there are no mileage ratings for this because it doesn't fall into that category. And I don't know who came up with that. Might have been fine, 20 years ago, but it's not fine today. Give us the dang. And I will. I'll give you what I got on it. How many passengers? 5, including the driver. Exterior changes from last model year. It gets a complete refresh this year, starting with the grille. The air intake is now located on the leading edge of the front lip of the hood, or the bonnet, as some people
And it's
will say.
needed to get rid of some of that temperature under the hood.
And it's hot. Much better looking grille with an attractive lighting up front. Toe steps on either side of the rear bumper. I think it's a fabulous idea, and every pickup truck ought to have them. Also, this one had the optional multi-flex tailgate on it as well. And if you're going to buy any kind of a General Motors truck, either the GMC or the Chevrolet, spend the extra $500 for the tailgate. It's well worth it. Attractive aluminum wheel options depending on the trim level. And it also has, this one, an optional fifth wheel connection in the bed. Now, the actual fifth wheel itself is not in there, but it has plugged holes drilled in the bed to go into the frame, so it makes it very easy to take those
fifth wheel unit in.
That's exactly right.
That's smart.
It is. It's an option, clearly. What I liked about it, the tough look of this. It looks so much better than the outgoing model. What could use improvement? Bigger, fatter tire options to fill the wheel wells. And don't tell me we put dualies on it, because look, the dually thing,
if you're pulling a heavy fifth wheel, there's a reason for a dually.
Traction.
Other than that, there's no reason for a dually.
Correct. It doesn't make any difference. Believe me, a single rear wheel back there works just fine. Interior highlights, easy to find and use the controls on the dash. It's 747 looking.
You like that screen that's on it?
I do. Yeah, it's big. New integrated infotainment screen in the center dash with wood accents around it. Of course, this is one down from the very tip-top level of the high country. The instrument cluster is configurable in this. All of these American-made trucks really have stepped up to the plate and done a wonderful job. Remember, trucks used to be just so plain and nothing to them. Steel dashboards and very minimal gauges.
Well, they were purpose-built.
And the gas tank mounted behind the front seat.
Yeah, that made a lot of sense, didn't it? Rear seat room, massive, with storage under the seat cushion back there. What I liked about it, let's see, if they would move the gear shift, I would like that they move the gear shift off of the center console and move it up on the column. Because it takes so much room down there. Give me the phone charger. Give me cup holders. Give me other stuff down here. I don't need the gear shift down there.
Or like Ram does with the rotary
Which is
dial
brilliant,
on the
up on the
dash.
dash. It's brilliant, yeah. What could use improvement? How about a knob on the dash like Ram? That's what I wrote.
There you go.
The engine is a 6.6-liter V8 turbo diesel. Are we keeping
It's
you
a
up?
stump puller.
It is a stump puller. 470 horsepower, but 975 pound-feet of torque. That's a lot. Transmission, 10-speed automatic. Tow rating is 2,000 pounds.
Well, remember,
20,000 pounds. But the fifth wheel only adds 1,500 pounds to the tow rating.
That transmission's a 10-speed Allison.
Correct.
Huge difference versus the Turbo-Hydromatic. That 10-speed Allison is virtually bulletproof.
A stump puller, as you call it. Mm-hmm. It has a 36-gallon fuel tank.
Wow.
I got
15.4
miles per gallon over 297.1 miles.
That's pretty good for a 3/4-ton truck.
What I liked about it, the gruntiness of the motor.
The gruntiness.
Try spelling that.
MOTOR.
Thank you. What could use improvement? A kitchen sink somewhere. Ride and handling, it's all about capability. So if you don't pull something or you don't have a big load in the bed, it's stiff, period. What could use improvement? An air suspension option.
Raise and lower it.
Raise and lower it.
But the ride.
The ride.
That seems to be the go-to.
What?
The suspension, the ride suspension, or the
there is no
electronic way.
There is no option on that. Base trim price $61,200. Price is tested $83,545.
$22,000.
And options. Base model price $46,900. Good luck in trying to find that'd be the work truck. $46,900.
That's the white one with the paint that's going to peel 5 years from now.
I didn't say that.
I did.
Competitors to this vehicle in base size and price: Ford, $45,000 for their 3/4 ton. Remember, this one is $46,900. The Ram is $52,000 starting, and the GMC is $80,000 starting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Price variance
because
there.
because they don't have those lower trim levels.
They don't do a work truck.
You start at a higher level.
Yep.
Yeah, and at a higher level.
Yeah.
And that is my review of the Chevy Silverado 2500.
Speaking about high level, look who's up next.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, we're looking forward to talking to Randy Borcherding at Penthouse.
Now you're going to have to explain that to him.
No, you're
going to have to explain it to him.
The In Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available 24/7 through the iHeartRadio app. Just look for In Wheel Time Car Talk. We also video stream on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com. Podcasts at your fingertips on over a dozen of the most popular podcast outlets.
And
the In Wheel Time Car
Store.
Talk Show continues right after this quick break. Everyone at the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, thank you for participating in the best cruise in around, and look forward to seeing you again. You'll hear about the next cruise in date right here on In Wheel Time. Next time you're in the West Houston Energy Corridor area, be sure and stop in at the original Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex at I-10 and Highway 6, or the Katy location on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard. When passing through Beaumont or College Station, stop in and have Lupi's award-winning beef fajitas and frozen margaritas. There's always a celebration at Lupi Tortilla. Lupi Tortilla founder Stan Holt and his wife Sheila are winning racers on the NHRA drag racing circuit and have a collection of hot rods and classics that everyone appreciates. Look for them at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In. The date will be announced soon and will once again be held at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex on 99 and Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. We'll give you all the details right here on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show and online. Donations benefit God's Garage. We'll see you then. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In Wheel Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InWheelTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise Inn, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel. It's the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Coming up, Randy Borcherding with Paint House. Conrad has This Week in Auto History, and we'll get you caught up on stories making car news this week. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World Mars, King Conrad DeLong. We always need more Jeff Zeke, and I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us. Let's go right away. Let's just get into it. Randy Borcherding, good morning to you. Where are your glasses? Where are your sunglasses?
Howdy, fellas. Actually, they're those transitions that go dark, and I just figured I wasn't going to wear them.
Because of that beautiful face of yours. That's it, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Of course.
He wanted to show off his bloodshot eyes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and not from booze. It's from paint. That's
Probably. Possibly.
Randy, it's good to see you, my friend, and I hope things are well out there. We won't try to keep you out in the sun too long because we wanted to talk to you about this new hauler that's behind you. And I was asking the boys before we joined you this morning, what is ATC? Is that a company?
Aluminum Trailer Company, yes.
Aluminum Trailer Company, okay.
So he's close.
You were.
I got the company part.
Yep, you got that.
Yeah. 1 out of 3 ain't bad.
And I guess before we talk about that, we need to make an apology to you.
Oh, boy.
Because apparently Mr. Mars, in his big fat thumbs, called Randy Borcherding at Penthouse. Now, we know that you probably
you think you're the first.
we know that you have a past history, but we didn't know you back then. All we know is Paint House, but Mars apparently knows you from way back when.
Well, we've been friends a while. I'll just put it that
way. Good answer.
And now you're sleeping with the goat. We saw the pictures before you came on.
Good old Sticky Pages Michael.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Well, I know that you've got some great news, and we want to see the ATC hauler. Now, you used to have an ATC, well, at least another hauler, and you lived in it for a while.
And we did, and we loved it. And we actually would like to do it again someday. Right now, this is more of a car hauler, where that was a toy hauler, meaning it had less garage, a little more living space, where this is mainly garage with some light living space.
Yeah, kind of like one of those haulers on the drag racing tour where just the very front, 15, 20 feet is for the office, and the rest of it is the garage.
And tools.
This is even lighter than that, we'll call it. I'll just put it that way. It's meant for, I'm going to switch the camera here. Rolling down the highway, instead of getting a $200 hotel room and leaving an expensive car out in the parking lot, I can sleep in this thing and then keep going. So it's not something you'd ever live in. However, you can be comfortable enough and get up and keep rolling.
Well, and this is also a fifth wheel, so you've got to tow it with something like a truck. So what are you towing it with?
It's a gooseneck. I tow it with a F350 dually 2022. One of the interesting things I'll show you real quick while we're out here is this Gen Y hitch. I don't know if y'all have seen these.
No, what is that?
It's riding on, these are torsion axle pieces with the rubber inserts, and that hitch just kind of floats on the axle. Really takes the harshness out of towing these things.
Really
comfortable.
When did they come out with that? What a great idea.
They've been out for a few years, and they do them all the way from bumper pulls up to true fifth wheels. So it's a neat add-on, if you will. It's just a bolt-on thing, and I can tell you there's a difference in the ride because I've towed a lot of these boxes.
Now, your other one that you lived in, you had the big generators and all kinds of things to make it livable.
Yes, sir.
So if this one's kind of a napper or whatever you would like to call them, really light,
just a overnighter, if you will.
Does it have those kind of things?
Well, you could. In my case, I keep a small generator in the bed of the truck, and it's enough to run the AC and the lights, and that's all you need when you're just pulling over to sleep or hang out for a night.
Okay.
All right.
But you use this primarily to deliver your work to the customers, correct?
Yes, this would be for hauling cars to and from places, whether it's a show, upholstery shop, another shop. But we have a car up in Michigan that a buddy's helping us with the electrical, so getting it to and from him, that kind of thing. And it's quite a bit more mobile than the big live-in one we used to have. So you can grab it and go without having to unhitch your life, essentially.
How many feet is that thing?
This is 40.
40 foot.
We had I'm going to walk you around the side here. Got 2 storage boxes up front, nothing revolutionary there. This side entry door is really neat. I'll lift it up for you. Bear with me here while I reach out for it.
Oh, cool.
That's big, too.
So it includes...
Almost like a wing, if you will.
Or a slide out.
Yeah, if you notice here, the wheel well, you lift it out. This thing lifts all the way up. You've got plenty of clearance, and I'll show you here with the door.
Hey.
Did you customize this trailer just for this?
Well, this is a unit they make, and this door is nothing unique to me. They offer it in most of their trailers.
But that's cool.
There are some things inside that are custom, but this lets you get in and out of these cars that sit low. You can open the door all the way.
So you don't have to crawl through. Yeah, so you don't have to crawl through the window and squeeze in there.
Yeah.
Exactly. Let me crawl all over that paint.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times the door won't open because the car sits too low, and you either have to winch it in, which isn't always practical or possible. This way, you can just drive it in and get out. It's
Very
nice.
good. Very good.
Smart.
So what if the car is too low to go across the door, go across those wheels?
Then hopefully you'd be smart enough to know, and you'd winch it in, which I'll show you here in a moment where the winch is. Okay. One little feature I'll show you before we go in. This table you see right here is one of the unique features this trailer has that they've just introduced. And it's a modular system. If you notice the rail running down the side there, that black rail, they've got a whole line of accessories that will install to these rails. And this table, we use it inside, outside. You wouldn't drive with it on there. You just take it off and store it. However, when we were up at Columbus this year, we always set up and have kind of like a parking lot party. And we were able to put drinks and food out, maybe beverages for adults, maybe not. And then you can just take it down, and they work on the inside as well. If you notice, there's railing running down the side.
Do you have an awning out there?
There is an awning, which my last trailer did not have, and it's really nice to have.
Yeah,
a full length. I think it's 20 feet long.
Nice.
And you got lights out there. At nighttime, those lights they're like headlights. They're amazing. So in here you got a blue GTO that I love the color. 67 GTO we built, I don't know, 8 or 10 years ago. It's a fun one. We took it up to Columbus this year. Another thing they've come up with is these modular cabinets that also work on the rail system. And you can put them wherever you want. Take them in, take them out. They're not permanent to the trailer.
So if you have a different load, you can adjust all that.
Yeah, or if you're going camping, let's say you put your UTV in here and you want to haul a lot of gear, we'll put in some cabinets. So if you don't need them, take them out.
So did you pick this up off the lot, or did you order it custom for your needs?
We had it built. This is the first one demonstrating this new rail system, which they will have a complete line of accessories, right? Fuel can holders and tire racks and weed eater
cool.
holders, whatever you're going to use the trailer for, they will make it modular to the system, including, for example, this couch. It's attached to the lower rail right over there. It lays out flat like a couch, like a bed. It sits like a couch, or it'll fold up flat against the wall and get out of the way. Or you can just take it out, which is nice. So nothing is permanent, which I can appreciate. And you got your typical up front deck area. And I put the spare up there and keep chairs and things up front. So one of the things I added, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I added a bathroom to this one, which if you drive as much as I do, you appreciate having your own restroom. So it's got the sink and the cabinet and water and a toilet and not a shower, but beyond that, it's nice to have my own restroom. Jen particularly appreciates that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there aren't enough Buc-ee's in this world.
Indeed, but they are going everywhere, I'll tell you. I've seen them up all the way up to Kentucky, the Kentucky Buc-ee.
So I was going to ask you, Randy, so the couch that folds out like a bed, is that your sleeping area?
I've used it that way, and I've also keep an air mattress up in the front here that I can just blow up and sleep on that.
Okay, yeah, that looked like it might be a little more comfortable if you had something up there. That's the reason I was asking. But
yeah. So it's got air conditioning. So when you pull over and you fire up the generator, you can cool the thing off and actually be comfortable in it.
And the AC is enough to cool it in 100-degree heat.
It is. I keep it running out here in the driveway, and you walk in this trailer, and it's 65 degrees.
Nice. Is the trailer insulated?
It is. We ordered it that way. We've got another spare tire well here, so I keep 2 spares. I've learned the hard way. 1 spare is never enough. It's got the winch in the floor, Bluetooth controlled. You can put that door down and just have a nice flat floor, and the winch is not in the way.
Nice.
And then we put in a small refrigerator, which via an inverter, which is controlled, I think that's funny, which is controlled by the inverter panel here. And when the truck is plugged in and you're driving, that refrigerator is cooling.
Oh, okay.
And then we display our colors when we go to shows. So we made this board that mounts to the door. We can hang some of our custom colors on display. It's got a heater. What else? It's essentially a big white box, but it's a really, really nice big white box.
So you went to the color board there. What kind of new colors are you working on this time?
Right now, I'm working on a gold for Andy Leach up in, I just went blank, Nebraska. And we're doing a 33 Pontiac that we'll do a custom gold for his project. And that's the current experiment, if you will, science experiment.
Very cool.
Yeah, you're talking about the color.
Yeah.
The color.
Well, the color grabbed my eye right away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the gold is not on the board. It's in the mixing room under wraps right now. I haven't figured it out yet. I'm still
top secret.
tweaking it.
Yeah. And what is that, a fluorescent orange that you've got in there?
It's kind of my version of Hugger Orange, but I put some pearl in it, so it's got a little more pop to it. It looks retro, like on a Camaro or a Pontiac, whatever that color would have been on, but yet when you get close to it, it's got a little something extra.
We can see that something extra is popping right out of that board.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I hope you see it cleanly, because sometimes these devices don't show color very well.
What are you working on in the shop?
Oh, let's see. The current one we're almost done with is a 72 Ranchero, 351 Cleveland. We put in a 5-speed. What else did we do to it? Air, vintage air, new wiring harness, all that kind of stuff. That just kind of the standard fare in the hot rod world these days.
So
all that stuff works so well. You should do it, and it makes it more fun to drive.
A different Ranchero than what you brought to SEMA a couple of years ago?
Correct. That was a 71. The one we're doing now is a 72, and it's more of a survivor car. The paint on it's original. The stripes are still on it. It was an original 351 HO. 351, yeah. It was a Ranchero GT originally. So it was the real deal.
Do you have any competitions coming up?
Let's see. There's a show in Nashville Bobby Alloway's putting it on. I'm trying to remember the name right now. It's the first inaugural show, and I'm going blank. But it's going to be a really neat deal. And then SEMA, of course, comes up in early November.
Are you taking something?
Is that where the Ranchero's going, to SEMA?
No, it's not really what I'd call a SEMA car. We'll just have fun and drive that one. But we are planning to take a 67 Firebird convertible. We've named it the Topless Dancer because
so Penthouse works.
Perhaps. The story behind it is when I first drove the car many years ago, the front end was so loose on it, it danced all over the road, and it's a convertible.
Makes
so when
sense.
I got back to his house and said, I've already named your car. This thing is Topless Dancer because it dances all over the road and it's topless.
Funny.
Oh, funny.
And it will be that color blue right there. Well, actually, it's a sister car to the GTO. It's the same color as the GTO.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Maybe you'll call her the naughty little sister. I don't know, but they are owned by the same person, and he's a Pontiac guy, among other things. And they'll be matching cars.
Cool.
Nice.
So
I'm looking for it. There's the 17th BASF. No, that was May. I'm looking for that car show that you're talking about. The 2023 Triple Crown of Rotting Car Show.
Triple Crown. That's it. Triple Crown of Rotting. You got it.
Yeah, that's
it sounds like an adult beverage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be.
I saw the trophies for that show at Advanced Plating, and they are impressive. In addition to the winners, all get, I think there's 6 custom Gibson guitars that are part of the
very cool
the prizes you can win. So they really put a lot of thought into it, and it's going to be a neat deal. You know, Bobby used to put on what was called Shades of the Past over in Pigeon Forge at Dollywood.
Yeah, I remember that. Never made
and
it.
And it was another really fun show. I don't know if their lease ran out or what happened, but they've now moved it to Nashville, and I believe it's at the racetrack, so it'll be a nice venue.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You don't have the air conditioner on in there, do you?
No, I don't. It was kind of noisy. So I shut it off, but now you get to see me sweat.
Yeah.
So are you going to go for the Street Rod of the Year award?
That was in Columbus 2 weeks ago, and we didn't bring a street rod, so.
Well, it says here, Triple Crown of Rotting, September 8th and 9th, 2023 at the Nashville Super Speedway.
Their street rod. Yeah, they are doing one. If we bring anything, it would fall more into the muscle car category. So hot rod, perhaps. I'm not sure what they called their awards, but I think they've divided it into trucks, street rods, and hot rods, just to kind of define the categories.
Right.
Well, good luck to you in whatever category you enter in.
By the way, how's the head of the household and the paint house garage? How is she doing?
The brains and the looks, Jen?
Yes.
She's awesome. I invited her to be on this thing, and she declined, probably because of the heat, and I don't blame her.
She's still doing her podcast?
It's on hold, but it's going to be revamped here and become an active thing pretty soon.
Well, good.
So she's going to want to interview you guys.
Well, that's fine.
Oh,
and
boy.
maybe
to help.
we're going to do a simulcast.
Yeah.
We'll do a simulcast of that. Okay. Well, Randy, it's
That'll be
always
fun.
Yeah, it will. It's always great to talk to you. Please give Jen our love, and you guys take care up there. Thanks for the tour this morning. We truly appreciate it, and congratulations on that hauler, man. That's really something.
I love that lift up side door. What a great idea that is.
Yeah, it's again, it's super useful, and I always felt like they would be a leaking point for dirt and water, but this one has not had that issue at all.
Cool.
So
very good.
All right.
Kudos to ATC. Kudos to ATC for building a great trailer, and thanks for having me.
Yep, you got it. And by the way, good luck at the Triple Crown in Nashville in September.
Thanks, man.
Go
Thank
find
you.
some air
Y'all
conditioning.
take care. Yeah, go find some AC. All right, time now for This Week in Auto History. Conrad has that.
So in this week in 1888, Philip W. Pratt demonstrated the first electric automobile in Boston. It was a tricycle powered by 6 electrical accumulator company sells. It weighed about 900 pounds. What an odd-looking duck. You got to remember, this is the generation when the bicycles had the big wheel and the little wheel.
Yeah.
And he just adapted that and put an electric motor on it. You got to remember, there is an electric Corvette. The Barbie Corvette, the 1957 pink Barbie Corvette, was the first electric Corvette in production. And they sold thousands of them.
And they're going to be making a new one called the E-Ray.
Mm-hmm. And then in 1904, this week, Dr. Herbert Hills of Flint, Michigan, purchased the first Buick automobile ever to be sold. Also in 1904 on this week, Louis Rigoli driving a 15-liter Gibron Braille on the Ostend-Newport Road in Belgium became the first man to break 100 miles an hour in that thing. Can you imagine going 100 miles an hour?
It's like a bathtub.
Looks like a soapbox derby car.
Well, it was aerodynamic for its day. But, he went over 100 miles an hour in that thing. God help him. In 1911, General Motors organized GMC truck brand to handle the sales of GM's Rapide and Reliance products. In 1934, Harold Ames patented a application for retractable headlamps. The design would later become one of the defining details of Ames' most triumphant project, the Cord 810, which to me is one of the most beautiful vehicles ever produced, was that Cord of that generation. You got to think of how creative that car was. Not only hideaway headlamps, it was front-wheel drive and had a supercharged 8-cylinder engine in it, very advanced for its day. And then again, it was designed by Gordon Bering to make a baby version of a Duesenberg car, and that's when he came up with the 810. And it was the last great offering of the Auburn Cord Duesenberg trio of manufacturing. And this vehicle was also inducted into the Museum of Modern Art, and it was chosen as one of the 8 automotive works of art. In 1935, the first automatic parking meter in the United States, the Parkometer, was invented by Carlton McGee and was installed in Oklahoma City by the Dual Parking Meter Company.
Parkometer. Or Parkometer.
Parkometer. In 1973, Bonnie and Clyde's bullet-riddled 34 Ford V8 sedan was sold at auction for $175,000 to Peter Simon of Jean, Nevada. The V8 Ford model succeeded the new Model A and was well received due to the speed and power. Perhaps is why it was seen most popular among the criminal element. But I guess now they drive a 66 Corvette. Nope, sorry. Wrong criminal element. Henry Ford first received a personal letter congratulating him on the car's performance from famed outlaw gunman John Dillinger. And I think that letter is actually displayed at Greenfield Village Museum.
Yep.
And then in 1987, Enzo Ferrari, in a ceremony commemorating the company's 40th year, unveiled the Ferrari F40 at the factory in Maranello. It had a 2.9-liter twin-turbo V8 engine under the hood, and it was Italy's first production sports car to go over 200 miles an hour. And actually, there's one of those here in Houston, owned by the president of the Houston Ferrari Club. Stunningly beautiful car, but very stark interior. Every place they could save weight, they did. So there's no carpets, there's no door panels. Everything's carbon fiber and stuff. So pretty cool car. And that is this week in automotive history.
Very good. I enjoyed that very much. All right. Want to do recalls while we've got time. BMW 740, 760, and i7 for 2023. Interaction bar malfunction.
Don't know what an
I don't have any.
is.
I don't.
It's when you run out of ice.
It's when you run out of bourbon.
You run out of something. Driver's airbag may not deploy in lots of Lexuses and Corollas. Again, safercar.gov. Type in your VIN number. It's 23 and 24 models of NX, RX, Corolla, Corolla Cross, Highlander, Tacoma, and on and on and on and on and on. Valve stem may be damaged on the Toyota RAV4 for 2023. If the tire goes flat, it's damaged. Mazda CX-3, Mazda 3, rear view image may not display properly. All these are recalls. Seatbelt may detach from the pretensioner anchor on the Tesla Model S and Model X, 21 to 23. Forward-facing camera is misaligned. If you're looking at the side of the car from inside on the screen, then it's misaligned. For 2023, those Tesla models, S, X, and Y.
Like we said earlier in one of the earlier interviews, there's so many cameras on today's cars. It's amazing.
Unintended acceleration on the Nissan Leaf for 2018 to 2023. Whoop, there we go.
I unintended acceleration. I had met an Audi engineer. We were both working in a salvage yard together looking at a couple of different cars. I was looking at one for a fire, and he was looking at an Audi 5000 for, he called it unintelligent acceleration.
Well, there's that.
And I couldn't stop laughing.
Loss of power steering assist in the Nissan Kicks and Versa for 2021, and the camera image may not display in the Jaguar XE, not the I-Pace.
The F-bomb?
The F-bomb. They really should name one of their cars the F-bomb. People will buy it just for that, don't you think? Federal Reserve on Wednesday increased its benchmark rate target a quarter of a point to 5.25 to 5.5%, a decision that could leave auto dealerships and customers coping with higher interest rates on auto loans. It's the highest U.S. central bank policy rate in 16 years. Thank you, Mr. President. The Federal Reserve's benchmark interest rate decisions affect the price lenders pay to borrow money, costs that might be passed on to consumers in the form of higher interest rates.
Might be, will be.
Well, I was going to emphasize that. Meanwhile, new vehicle interest rates rose from 4.5 in March of 22 to 7.2% in June of this year. And used vehicle APRs went from 8.1% to 11%, according to Edmunds. A new vehicle lease grew from charging the equivalent of 4.2% interest to 5.8% interest. Way to go. All right, well, that's it for this hour of the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Hour number 3 starts right after these brief messages on the iHeart Radio Network. Everyone at the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, thank you for participating in the best cruise in around, and look forward to seeing you again. You'll hear about the next cruise in date right here on In Wheel Time. Next time you're in the West Houston Energy Corridor area, be sure and stop in at the original Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex at I-10 and Highway 6, or the Katy location on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard. When passing through Beaumont or College Station, stop in and have Lupi's award-winning beef fajitas and frozen margaritas. There's always a celebration at Lupi Tortilla. Lupi Tortilla founder Stan Holt and his wife Sheila are winning racers on the NHRA drag racing circuit and have a collection of hot rods and classics that everyone appreciates. Look for them at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In. The date will be announced soon and will once again be held at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex on 99 and Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. We'll give you all the details right here on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show and online. Donations benefit God's Garage. We'll see you then. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In Wheel Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InWheelTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise Inn, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel. From the Sugar Shack. Woohoo! And the Sugar Shack World Headquarters, it's the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Just ahead, Zach Triggs teaches us how to drift. They know there's a trick to it. I don't know what it is, and I don't want to attempt it in my car, but if it's somebody else's car... and
come on, man.
No,
I wonder if he's got a passenger seat in it.
We're going to find out. Jeff has a segment on the evolution of auto transports, the car haulers. Conrad has the racing calendar and the car clinic, and later we discuss the stories making automotive news headlines this week. Stay with us for hour number 3 of the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World Mars, King Conrad DeLong. We always need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Thanks so much for joining us for the return of our live show. We've been off for a couple of weeks. Mr. Mars put together a great best of in our opinion anyway.
2 weeks in a row.
Well, no, because the second week we had the Granbury
replay.
Replay. So it was just an actual best of show. What did you think of your work?
Good job, Mars.
Well, I mean, I kind of get. I have.
Are you tearing up?
Yeah, sorry, I'm so happy. No, yeah, I have fat fingers, so I learn things every time we do something.
Is that what you're blaming it on? Fat fingers?
Absolutely.
Put them on a diet.
Yeah, exactly. Well, at any rate, thanks for all your hard work. And you know
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a lot of editing. Okay, we're going to talk to Zach Triggs. He is the Fat Cats Racing spokesperson. Now, Zach, if you didn't know that, we've just given you a new title, and we hope that you appreciate it.
I do.
Okay. Well, I thank you for appreciating
the appreciation.
The appreciation. Tell us what Fat Cats Racing is.
So Fat Cats is just a group of friends. We're all based out of Houston, Texas. We all met. Majority of us met just through cars in general back in 2010 or so, and we just stayed. We kind of became a family now. That's all kind of centered around racing, and we're all still doing this dumb hobby that we call drifting.
Well, it's not a dumb hobby. It is, for us old guys, we're going, well, why are they doing that? Because it's loss attraction, a controlled loss attraction, basically. I mean, that's what it is.
It's dancing with smoke.
It's dancing and it's smoky. Yeah, it is. But there's a true art to it. The one part, and I guess you guys have a name for it, is where two of you get on the track together. And then it's kind of like a dance without hitting the other car. Let's see how close we could get to each other's car and drift.
Match.
Drift around. Is it a race?
It's not a race. Whoever gets to the finish line first does not matter. Ideally, you don't want to pass each other because that what you mentioned, tandeming, 2 cars next to each other. You're correct. The goal is to stay as close to each other as possible without hitting.
Do you get points?
So it's kind of judged, though, correct?
The easiest way to compare drifting to maybe drag racing or racing is this is the figure skating of the automotive world.
Yep, I can see that.
Anybody can go watch a figure skating competition and be like, wow, that person that jumped up in the air and did those spins, that was really cool. Or the people that figure skate, they know exactly what spin they just did and why that was so hard. It's the same thing here. Anybody can watch 2 cars next to each other and realize that that's probably difficult. But once you're a driver and you understand, it's just on a completely different level.
Okay, so let's talk about the car. So, because I don't understand, I may ask you some stupid questions because of my ignorance about it.
Would be the first time.
It wouldn't be the first time, and I'll own up to all of that. But there is a tremendous amount of suspension work and also in the steering aspect of it. We'll get to the engine in a minute, but let's talk about how the thing goes around the track, basically in a controlled spin, if you will, because it doesn't spin, but the wheels certainly do. Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
It spins sometimes with me behind the wheel.
Okay.
But I mean, I've got adjustable front upper, front lower, rear lower control arms. Everything's adjustable just about. Of course, aftermarket coilover suspension. I've had this car for 15, 16 years now, so plenty of time to make all types of adjustments. But which you guys might find this odd, but my car's set up for the most traction in the rear I can get, because then I can go the fastest in drift.
Gotcha.
So I've got near zero negative camber, a little bit of toe in. I want the car to be fast, but I'm still spinning the wheels to go even faster.
You want it fast, but yet controllable with your accelerator and brake.
Exactly. So alignment is a huge, huge, huge deal. I've got a friend that aligns my car that's a genius when it comes to suspension stuff here in Houston. And you know, an alignment can make the world of a difference on the track.
I can understand that. Let me ask you this. Now, I saw a video where a drifter, but they had a lot more work in the front end of the car, so they could turn the steering much sharper than a regular stock car.
Yeah, so my specific car, I like to keep the angle. That's what we refer to it, just your steering angle. Mine's pretty simple. Mine has just stock knuckles that we cut and shorten a little bit, and that increases the steering angle pretty good for stock components.
Why is that? Why is that important? I don't understand.
It gives you more room for error, so you don't spin out and stop and make all your friends crash into you. But the more steering angle, the more the car can get sideways while still, moving forward.
And also faster, I assume, too.
Somewhat. The more angle you have, the slower your car is going to go generally.
Sure.
If you shallow up a little bit, we would call it, you're going to go a lot faster. But ideally, it looks the coolest if you have the most angle. And that's what we're here for.
So what's more important, front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, or all-wheel drive?
Front-wheel drive would just be completely impossible. All-wheel drive, you need like 1 million horsepower to spin all four wheels, and it's just kind of a whole different ball game. Every car that you'll see at a drift event is always going to be rear-wheel drive.
Okay.
All right. So that narrows the field unless you actually modify the car from front-wheel to rear-wheel drive.
Which is pretty rare to see unless you're at like an absolute pro level,
Sure.
No budget type racing.
I got you. So is there a certain make, model, or type of car that is more affordable for us to get into the sport? What do we look for when we're trying to find a car that we can convert to a drift car?
The basic criteria is obviously rear-wheel drive, manual, and has an e-brake. And emergency brake, one that you can yank. I don't want a foot brake. That's not going to do me any good.
Right.
Those are the real 3 criteria. And the spotlight right now, currently with the market, is the Nissan 350Z. They're still lower than $10,000. They drift great. They have power. They come manual. They're just good cars right off the bat. Okay,
let's talk then about the power. And clearly, these are not stock engines.
That is true. So my car is a stock engine from its version in Japan. In Japan, this car is a Toyota. It comes with an inline 6 with pretty small twin turbos. I've bought one of those engines for Japan and swapped it into mine, and it's been going for probably 8 years now.
And what model car is that?
This is a Lexus SC300. It's like an early mid 2000s or early 90s to right at 2000.
And how did the engine swap go? Because what was originally in that, a V6?
So it wasn't inline 6. It was a 2JZ GE, so no turbo. And again, the engine that I got came in this car in Japan. So drop in, I just had to extend the wiring harness to go to the other side of the car. So I extended it like 18 inches, and then everything plugged right in.
So it wasn't out of sight to do. So what are the modifications to the car have you done other than the steering and you've lowered the suspension. And
there's definitely a lot of lowering. I will say the majority of us that drift, and especially in my circle, as much as we care about performance, we love how the car looks.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you on that. Yeah, you got to have the look.
It's not going to drive good if it doesn't look good.
Yeah, I'm with you, brother. Yes, absolutely. It's got to look good.
The 3 criteria generally for drift cars is a bucket seat is probably one of the number 1 mods I'll tell someone to get, because in drift, you don't want to be doing this.
Of course.
You want to focus on your driving.
Yep.
So bucket seat, coilovers to get rid of the body roll, and a differential locked up. So for me, a welded differential.
Oh, so you've actually welded the side gears in, so it's beside Positrack. It's just a lock.
Exactly, all the time. That's the poor man's version. The ideal version is you have like an actual limited slip differential. I just put all my money elsewhere.
Well, let me ask you though, with that welded, there's a tag on that car. Are you still driving that on the street?
I do. Yes. I don't drive as much anymore. It doesn't have AC, so try not to drive it. But it is perfectly road legal. It drives just fine.
And how does it go? How does it go around corners with that locked up rear axle back there?
It makes a lot of noise, especially in parking garages and things like that.
It's a little hopper, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So people think it's falling apart when I pull up somewhere. Generally.
What organizations are there in Houston that allow you to drift?
So I'm a part of a group called Knuckle Up. They host events at a track called Speed Sports, which is actually a go-kart track out in New Caney, so a little northeast of Houston. And we do events every 2 months or so. Locals or anyone can apply to drive and get accepted. And then I'm a part of a bigger group throughout the country called Final Bout, which is a competition-based thing, but it's team-based competition. So my team of drivers, there's 5 of us. We go out and try to do the best run together and get judged upon.
Zach, does it have a passenger seat in it?
It does. It absolutely does. My girlfriend is pretty much always with me whenever I'm out on track.
So let me ask you this. Do you drive it to the event or do you trailer it?
I do. The track, Speed Sports, is only about 20 minutes for me. So
okay.
I hop on 99 and I'm there in about 20 minutes, and then I hopefully drive home.
And the other question I have is, do you have a tire sponsor?
I wish. That is the biggest thing. I don't know if you can see the big stack of tires over there, but I have a 2-day race coming up in September, and I've got, I think, 8 brand new tires ready to go for that one.
What kind of tires do you use? Are they slicks?
They're not slicks. They are kind of a performance tire. Currently, the tire of choice throughout the drifting industry, as far as grassroots, is the Kenda KR20.
It's a sticky tire.
They're just the best tires, hands down. They'll last me way longer than any other tire.
No, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I would imagine that your time with the tire is a lot different than my time with tires. So what is a long time in your world?
On a good day, if I control myself and I let the tires cool down, which I usually don't, I can get about 50 or 60 laps out of one pair of tires.
So your 2-day event, is that the reason you need all those tires, 8, just to get through those 2 days?
But those are just the rears, right?
Ideally. Yeah, the fronts are good. I can usually last like 6 months on front tires. No issues there. But yeah, I'm kind of overshooting this event because I'm going to be trailering my car to Wisconsin.
Oh, wow.
But not have enough tires.
Yeah.
So, Zach, do you change your own tires? Do you have a tire changing machine? How does that work?
If I would have bought one of those 10 years ago, I would have saved myself a lot of money. But unfortunately, I'm still paying, just mainly because I don't have a place to put a whole tire machine. But yeah, so I have a buddy, thankfully, that he kind of helps me, but not really. He has a business to run. I get it.
So, but yeah, you go to Wisconsin. What do you are all those wheels going to have, tires going to have wheels on them for the event?
So I have one extra pair of wheels. I think they're about right there.
Yeah.
So thankfully, most races, if they're big enough, will have a tire changer on site.
Oh, okay.
Either I can pay someone or do it myself.
How much do they charge you to change tires?
At a racetrack?
When we're at the track, probably 15 or so each.
$20 to Mountain Balance. That's all it'll pay.
Just like work. Yeah, I wish I could limit them, but somewhere in there.
Do they offer you road hazard?
Kind of difficult to get the tires off, just the way they're built. So they don't
no road hazard warranty.
No road hazard warranty. I wish.
So do you also do the events that they'll have out at the Houston Police Academy?
So there's a couple of different drift organizers here in Houston and in Texas in general. There's, of course, my buddies Knuckle Up. There's also Lone Star Drift, which is it's been around for 15 years now. I haven't been out to Police Academy in probably 2 or 3 years, but I have driven in the past, and it's really fun. It's a great track.
Yeah, because I know they've got an event coming up in August and again in September.
What propelled you, so to speak, into drifting as opposed to drag racing or racing on a oval tour? Oval.
It's the chicks, man.
That ain't none of that.
I wish I could say it was that, but there's not really much in it for that scenario. But back in high school when I first got my car, it was just the internet. I don't really know exactly my first sight of it, but YouTube, something of that nature, I caught wind of it, and I was like, I'm going to do that. And it took me probably 6 years to get this car. I think I was 22 or 23 by the time I could actually show up to a drift event and be like, all right, yeah, I'm ready to go.
Okay, so this event that you've got coming up, how many other cars are going to be in competition there?
So it is a team-based event. So you just my team. We're taking 5 cars. I believe there's going to be a total of around 100. Oh, wow. We're not all on track at the same time. Throughout your 8-hour day, you have basically a set time when the competition is, and the rest of the day is just have fun.
The rest of the day is changing tires.
And getting in line to get on the track.
And so this event where you have 2 cars on the track at one time, what actually, is there any at fault if somebody gets dented or you crash or you both hit? What goes on there?
I think it'd be like any form of racing, I hope, at least where it's kind of gentleman rules. I've only been in one major wreck myself, and it was a buddy, and it was my fault. I spun out in front of him, and then we ended up kind of kissing like that. And he immediately got out and was almost in tears because he was so sad that we hit. And I was like, man, it's my fault. So it's just a gentleman's agreement.
Very good. Very good.
I still find it fascinating. Are there a lot of spectators at your event?
Ours are definitely growing over the past couple of years. We started our events during COVID. It's definitely gotten better, but Final Bout, the one I'm going to in Wisconsin, there are usually at least 1,000 to 1,500 spectators there.
Oh, wow.
Well, I mean, that if I were that age and I were into that sort of stuff, I would be going to the event. I wouldn't have a car because I couldn't afford it.
Well, my experience drifting was the parking lot at Bear Mountain State Park in my old Chevelle, just on the snow.
No, mine was on an icy, snowy street in Detroit in 1975. I started drifting then.
Yeah,
way back then.
Mars. I'm afraid to even ask you.
My experience was at the test track and pushed the wrong button on a Viper and lost the traction control, but I figured out real quick what drifting was all about.
A Viper had traction control?
Yeah.
Not the Viper that I drove.
Not the early ones, the later ones.
Maybe the later ones, but the early ones certainly didn't have it.
I got.
Ask Harold Gunn about that.
I got told real quick, don't ever touch that button again.
Yeah. So, Zach, have you had your car on a dyno to know what the output of that engine is?
I tend to spend money on visuals. I haven't spent money on my engine in a long time, but it's stock in lighter terms, so it makes about 300 horsepower.
Do you have a rev limiter on it?
The factory one.
The factory
so
one.
I honestly, I don't know what it is. I think it's probably 7,500, 8,000.
Well, you would know it if you hit it.
Oh, I hit it a lot. I just don't look down.
Gotcha.
Yeah, look down. Get too busy looking forward. So
exactly.
Obviously there's some expense in doing this, so I'm guessing there are purses for the bigger events to kind of help cover all this?
No. I mean, even at the top level of drifting, I've heard that the cash prizes are somewhere like $1,000 to $1,500, which doesn't do anything.
Not going to Wisconsin.
More so about how you can sell yourself to sponsors. That's the only way you can make money.
That's where it is, other sponsors. Yeah, I know how that is. Don, I have to think he was saying that his girlfriend rides with him a lot. you could go for a ride with him, and he would never know the difference by the time you started screaming.
You'd be screaming like a 7-year-old girl.
Ray would put on those red pumps and be proud.
And look good in that green car.
Absolutely. Zach, it's great to talk to you, my friend. Thank you for the education.
Yes.
Hey, stay in touch with us and let us know how the Wisconsin event goes, will you?
Thank you. I encourage anyone from Houston, come out to Knuckle Up drift events. We're at Speed Sports. You can come up with your own helmet, ask me for a ride along, ask any of the drivers. We'd love to do it.
Perfect. Awesome, man. Thank you so much. Good luck, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Hey, the In Wheel Time race card is sponsored by Texas Nostalgia Modified Production.
Right.
Conrad.
Well, this weekend, NHRA is in Sonoma. Next week, August 11th, they're in Kansas. August 17th through the 19th, they're at Brainerd. Did you like Brainerd when you went? I hear it's an animal house.
The most fun on the drag racing circuit is Brainerd, Minnesota, with the zoo.
Yeah,
is what they call it.
It's a pretty
oh
crazy,
my God!
crazy
it
event.
is. It is.
And then the U.S. Nationals is always a Labor Day weekend, and then the 2 weekends after that is Maple Grove, and that'll be the first of the playoffs at Maple Grove. Mm-hmm. NASCAR was in Pocono last weekend. Formula One is in the Netherlands tomorrow, and then they'll be in Italy next week. IndyCar is they've done all their Iowa stuff, and IndyCar is headed to Laguna Seca.
Cool.
Which will be a fun event.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Jeff has a feature this week on auto transports. Mm-hmm. And if you wanted to get into a business back in the 1950s,
even earlier,
or even earlier. Yeah. So we'll let you do it.
Well,
at it.
And it's not just car transports. There's ships and there's airplanes that transport too.
Of course.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll get started here with this. I'm going to let it roll. Alongside the automotive industry came the automotive transport industry. Railroads were a primary means of transportation for moving vehicles across long distances. However, it wasn't the best option because it was slow and costly. Over the years, there have been some significant developments from the very first semi-truck in 1897 right through the automated auto transport system available today. Growing number of new cars meant that the automobile manufacturers needed to find a way of efficiently delivering them to customers. Driving their vehicles long distances wasn't the practical way to do it. The solution, Mike, involved loading cars on the top of a flat cart that was attached to the top of an engine. The flat cart was attached to the back of a modified truck, and hence the world's first semi-truck was born. One such manufacturer was able to design a trailer that pulled a 2-ton truck. It was able to haul 4 cars at a time, which was groundbreaking for the transport industry at the time. One of the first folks to develop a transport was Ransom Olds in 1901. That's for you, brother. Yep. Okay, on the rail side of it, during the 40s and 50s, many railroads were transporting cars across long distances using automobile loading assemblies that allowed them to fit as many cars as possible into a boxcar. However, it wasn't too successful, and it was very, very expensive to do. So toward the end of the 50s, cars were being transported mostly by rail and were shipped on highway auto carriers and could be transported 10 cars at a time, basically. So on the air side of it, up until the late 40s, air transport's being used for transporting people and goods mainly. However, the demand quickly increased, transporting cars across the pond, so to speak. Air transport companies started transporting vehicles as far back as the 40s and early 50s. On the ship side of it, and this is where it gets kind of interesting too, during the early 60s, cargo ships also played a part of the vehicle transport. They were very successful at the time, but they couldn't carry large number of cars at that time. However, something better was needed by the U.S. military. The U.S. military contracted with the Sun Shipbuilding and Dry Dock Company in Chester, Pennsylvania, to design a new type of motorized vehicle.
To try and get their ship together.
Yeah. A carrier that was purely for transporting cars across the ocean was invented in 1973 by K-Line in Japan. It was named the European Highway and could carry up to 4,200 vehicles. Now, thanks to technology, we can now do things quicker, more efficiently, and cheaper than ever before. Auto transport industry has been so slow, or it hasn't been slow in making most of the technology. In many ways, the innovation at the core was the auto transport industry that you get today. I'm waiting for this last one. There is a famous transporter that actually sank 250 miles off the Portugal coast. What was the name of it, Mike? Well, the name of that ship was called the Felicity Ace. That was the vehicle that
was
sank.
recently.
Yes,
Yeah.
most recently had 4,200 vehicles, and that's the picture of it right there. Insurance estimate was $155 million just in the auto cargo side of it.
Lamborghinis and Audis and
It
and
doesn't
electric
matter. It was
car caught fire.
$155 million.
In that vein, a
And
crew
they couldn't
member
put out.
In that vein, a crew member aboard a large cargo ship died as a fire engulfed the ship off the coast of the Netherlands. The Dutch newspaper, I can't pronounce that, reported that the ship was carrying 2,857 cars, of which 25 were electric vehicles. This is a story from this week in Automotive News. One of the EVs may have caught fire. Dutch news agency ANP reported, citing an unnamed Coast Guard official. Mercedes-Benz said about 350 of the vehicles on board the ship were Mercedes, adding that the company was in contact with the transport provider. The fire began on Tuesday night on the Panama-registered Fremantle Highway, which was en route from Germany to Egypt, forcing several crew members to jump overboard. The Coast Guard said the Fremantle, which had departed from the German port of Bremerhaven, had been towed out of the shipping lanes and could sink. Hasn't sunk yet. The 10-year-old ship, measuring about 656 feet in length, can carry as many as 4,000 cars, according to data compiled by Bloomberg. The incident was the latest of several fires in recent times on car carriers. Earlier this month, 2 New Jersey firefighters were killed and 5 injured battling a blaze on a cargo ship carrying hundreds of vehicles. Fire destroyed thousands of luxury cars in the Felicity Ace, which you mentioned, which sank off the coast of Portugal's Azores Island in March of 2022.
Yep.
Yeah. So it seems as though up until this point, we haven't had many cargo ship fires with cars on it. But now all of a sudden with the onslaught of electric cars,
You're hearing more about it.
yeah, and runaway battery fires, here we go.
Yep.
Well, I'd asked Jeff when I knew what he was doing if he had a picture of the Chevy Vega rail transit system. And what they did was they drove the Vegas up to the side of the vehicle, headlights in, and then these ramps lifted them up vertically. So the headlight, they tie them down, and the headlights were down and the taillights were up, and they loaded them into the side of the rail car because they could carry more of them that
Like
way.
putting books on a shelf.
The weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Hey, I want to remind you that the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available 24/7 through the iHeartRadio app. Just look for In Wheel Time Car Talk. We also video stream on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com, and podcasts. They're at your fingertips on over a dozen of the most popular podcast outlets. The In Wheel Time Car Talk Show continues right after this quick break. Everyone at the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, thank you for participating in the best cruise in around, and look forward to seeing you again. You'll hear about the next cruise in date right here on In Wheel Time. Next time you're in the West Houston Energy Corridor area, be sure and stop in at the original Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex at I-10 and Highway 6, or the Katy location on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard. When passing through Beaumont or College Station, stop in and have Lupi's award-winning beef fajitas and frozen margaritas. There's always a celebration at Lupi Tortilla. Lupi Tortilla founder Stan Holt and his wife Sheila are winning racers on the NHRA drag racing circuit and have a collection of hot rods and classics that everyone appreciates. Look for them at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In. The date will be announced soon and will once again be held at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex on 99 and Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. We'll give you all the details right here on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show and online. Donations benefit God's Garage. We'll see you then. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In Real Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In Real Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InRealTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise Inn, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In Real Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel. Howdy.
Howdy.
Live from Studio A. It's the In Real Time Car Talk Show. Coming up, John Vincent, Senior Automotive Correspondent for U.S. News and World Report with the best EVs for road trips. Conrad will have the In Real Time Car Clinic. I'll bring you this week's auto news. Howdy. Along with Mike Out of This World, Mars. King Conrad DeLong, ever popular and noted expert in all things automotive.
What did we just call him? Mr. Excitement?
No, that would be you.
Oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Zekin. And we always need more Jeff Zekin.
That's right.
I'm just plain old Don Armstrong, and thank you very much for joining us on this Saturday, our return from our 2-week vacation. I'll look at that in more detail next year because I didn't need to be that. 1 week would have been fine, but 2 didn't have to be.
Well, it was based on your flights, getting in and out of town and going up.
These days, that makes a lot of difference.
That and the end Chippewa County Intergalactic Airport.
Because nobody goes to Detroit on purpose.
Well,
you had to.
Yes, because the
connecting flight.
Right. The flight to go to Chippewa County is once a day, as you can imagine.
Whether you need it or not.
So there was that. And I had a great time. Thank you, David Ainsley.
So we're driving
in a Cessna 172.
No. Thank you, David Ainsley, for a wonderful time at the cottage up there on Lake Huron. Absolutely stunning.
He sent some really cool pictures, too.
Very nice. All right. John Vincent is with the U.S. U.S. News and World Report. I did not. But he's the senior auto correspondent for the publication. And he's done a feature on the best EVs for road trips in 2023 and how to road trip an EV. Good morning, John. It's good to see you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on.
Well, you bet, and it's a pleasure. Let me ask this: how did it go? Did it go okay? Did you run out of juice? Did you find charging stations? Was it a nightmare? Tell me.
You know, I've done several road trips with EVs, and the experience has been mixed. It is still a challenge if you don't properly plan.
It's
a nice way to say it.
That's a very good way to say it. That's the true reporter in him, and we can tell that it wasn't all negative. There were some high points in it, obviously, and we're going to get into that. So let's start with the best EVs for road trips. Every manufacturer, it seems now, finally, making at least one EV, if not a dozen.
Almost everyone except for Stellantis, which still doesn't have one on the market. But pretty much everybody else does. And your bell ringer, your number one choice for EV road trips is, drum roll, please. EV6.
The EV6.
Yep.
You know, it's funny you should say that because I had that car a month ago.
Something like that.
And I will tell you, I don't get all of the cars in the press fleet, but that one stands out among all of the others. And it clearly stands out for you as your best for road trips. But I mean, the look of it, the speed of it, everything about that car is like, as a novice as I am at EVs, that is the car that stands out to me, the current car that's on the market.
So the one you had was probably the EV6 GT, which is the quickest of the bunch.
Yep.
That is not necessarily the one you want for a road trip.
Okay, tell me
The
why.
one you want for a road trip is the rear-wheel drive single motor, which has the greatest range. It's still a very quick car compared to a comparable gas model, but by giving up that top speed, you get a whole lot more range.
Interesting you should say that, because I only pressed that button one time. It's right on the steering wheel. And man, I'll tell you what, it will lay you back in the seat.
The go button.
The go button. But I will tell you that I didn't really need to do that. Now, granted, if I were some wild, well, I mean, I was going to say wild and crazy guy, but I am kind of
young.
They're making fun of me. Help. But I will tell you that it had plenty of power. But you were saying just with the ability to have more power, it still has less range than the car you drove.
Correct. You're carrying a bigger battery pack and you're carrying an extra motor. So weight is what kills your range. And carrying that extra weight around all the time, hurts your range on a road trip.
Oh.
Also think about your road trip. Your car's probably more heavily loaded than it is on a weekday for your weekday commute.
Yep.
So you're not getting the range you get when you're just driving back and forth to work.
And what kind of range between charging stations, what was the longest time that you could go? And what did the manufacturer say? Were they even close?
They're getting closer. They're still not. The range that the manufacturer tells you is the optimal range. It's the one that comes up in EPA testing. Just like a gas car, you very rarely hit those estimates. But with an EV6, you can comfortably go 240, 250 in a car that has a 300-mile range. And you don't really want to go much longer than that, because depending on where you are in the country and how close the charging stations are together,
right?
The charging stations networks are not as robust or reliable as they need to be. How's that for?
I love
reliable,
that.
yeah.
You're such a good reporter.
So you always want to plan to have another charging station within range if that first charging station you plan on working doesn't work.
Or if there's if there's a line down the freeway to get into it.
Yeah, that usually doesn't happen unless it's a Tesla charging station, but Tesla charging stations are generally fantastic. They're the most reliable out there.
And where did you road trip? Where were you?
Road trip around the Northwest, Oregon, Washington.
Okay. And that's an area that's more infrastructure built for EVs.
We do have a relatively dense infrastructure for EVs. Not quite like California, but pretty darn good.
Okay, so all is
not good enough.
All is good on the car. And did you have any problems charging, flat tires, any other problems on your road trip?
No flat tires. The biggest problem was reliable charging infrastructure. Getting to that charger and finding that it doesn't work. That, it won't connect to the car, the credit card reader doesn't work. It doesn't want to charge at the speed that it should be charging. So instead of taking 20 minutes there, it wants an hour. Things like that just get in the way.
How often did that happen?
It happens far more often than you want it to happen.
Yeah. So it's
I'd say probably a third of the time.
A lot of aggravation, not necessarily stuff that would stop you.
Correct.
Just aggravate you on the way.
Aggravate you and can be overcome with good planning.
And the vehicle onboard nav system will lead you to those charging stations. Is that correct?
In most of the EVs, yes, they will. I actually use a app on my phone called PlugShare, which tells me a lot more information than the onboard nav systems do.
As far as whether or not the EV system's functioning?
Correct. Its availability, whether it's functioning, whether it's even in a safe area. You'll get user reports saying that, yeah, don't stop at this one unless you want to get mugged. Because remember, with an EV charging station, if you want to disconnect, you have to get out of your car.
Yep.
To disconnect.
True.
The other question that I had for you, did you have a certain provider for a charging station that you preferred to use over another? I've got an EVgo card only because my Whole Foods nearby has an EV charging station. I rarely use it unless I've got an EV and don't have the home plug here. But I found that it's easy to use as long as it's connected to your credit card, which was a real pain because I hadn't used it long enough, and I had gotten another credit card.
Yeah.
No, it didn't drop me, but it had an old card.
Oh.
So then I had to call and get them the new card. And then, okay, yes, we've got you. Now, that was a whole 20-minute process on the phone with EVgo to get them the new credit card.
And you're not even charging while you're doing
No,
that.
they won't. You can't charge.
You can't charge just off a regular credit card?
There is no credit card slot. Did you deal with that, John?
Of course. Happened to me before. You need to remember that we are in the Model T phase of the modern EV era. Back when cars were new, where did you get gas? You had to find a pharmacy.
That's true.
Oh,
I forgot that. Yes.
Yeah, Don was there.
I was there. I was not.
He was serving behind the sauce.
That's right.
So we're going through a lot of growing pains. And, there's a technology that Ford uses that's fantastic. It's called Plug and Charge, where you plug the EV into the charging station and they talk to one another. And the Ford Pass app knows your credit card information, seamlessly links up. You don't have to talk to the charging network at all. And all the billing's handled through the Ford Pass app. It's great. And it seems to work.
But John, you didn't have a Ford.
I did not have a Ford. Well, I've driven the Fords.
No, I know, but I mean, on the road trip, you drove the EV6.
Right.
But the Ford charging station was good to go with
the Ford plug-in charge technology that works with Electrify America charging stations.
Gotcha. Okay. So,
John, what do you see about the there's a Tesla's built in its infrastructure, and Ford's kind of partnered with them on that. But now GM and a couple others have said, we're going to go build our own. And so, and it's not going to work with Tesla, which means it's not going to work with Ford.
It is actually going to work with the Tesla.
Well, then I misread it.
Yeah, it will have both what's called a NACS adapter or NACS plug, North American Charging Standard plug, and the CCS plug that everybody uses except Tesla right now. So it's going to be a whole lot easier to do a road trip in an EV in 2024 and even easier in 2025 because we're rolling out a much more common technology that will allow Teslas to charge everywhere without an adapter and everybody else to charge at Tesla superchargers if they want to.
Well, that'll make a big difference to have some sort of standardization.
Right.
What do you see as far as, that's the pretty bold statement that a lot more in 2024, double the amount? How many do you think is going to be out there in 2024?
I think they'd like to have double the amount in 2024. And with the common standard, even if you don't install another charging station, you have access to double the number because you have access to both networks.
Gotcha. Well, part of my issue, and it has always been, is with a gasoline motor, I can get 30 miles per gallon, depending obviously on the engine, the car, that sort of stuff. But let's just say 30 miles per gallon. Okay, great. I go down here to the 7-Eleven. I fill it up. Takes me, if it's empty, takes me maximum 5 minutes. Wash the windows and do all that stuff. Whereas with the EV, what's the minimum time that you got to charge? 30 minutes for an 80% charge?
So in a vehicle like the EV6 or a Hyundai Ioniq 5 and Ioniq 6, Genesis GV60, you're talking 10% of the battery to 90% or 80% of the battery in 18 minutes.
It's not bad.
That's not bad at all.
That's a lot better.
That's better, but it's still not 5 minutes.
But, your range is 250, 300 miles. Do you take that many road trips where you're not going to want to stop for 15 minutes every 250 to 300 miles?
No, of course not. I mean, and that makes perfect sense. No, I got that. But for instance, like here, let's just use the trip from Houston, Texas to Dallas, Texas, 250 miles. There is a beautiful Buc-ee's. I don't know whether you're familiar with that or not, but there's a beautiful Buc-ee's about halfway.
Madisonville.
And they don't have any charging stations that I'm aware of yet at that Buc-ee's. I'm sure that they're coming, but
they will.
I'm sorry?
They will.
Yeah, I know they will.
They have a lot of charging stations.
Yes, but so if there's not a charging station there, there's probably one or two somewhere in the Madisonville area, which is where that Buc-ee's is located. But until then, am I going to make it? Am I going to make it from Houston to Dallas on that 250-mile charge that, only go 55 miles an hour, don't touch the accelerator pedal, don't brake, don't do anything, hold your breath, and you'll make it the 250 miles.
Hold my beer.
And don't use your air conditioner heater.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that too. Yeah. So you have all of that stuff in your head, and that's your experience on the road too.
Yep. Like I said, we're in the Model T phase of this. Everything is going to get better.
Yep. Well, that's a perfect analogy. So tell me where we can read your article in what edition of the U.S. News and World Report.
You just go to usnews.com and the auto section, and you'll find it there.
Well, it has been a real pleasure to talk to you, and we thank you very much for joining us today. Hey, next article that you write, let's hear from you. We want to put you on the show and talk to you about it.
Absolutely. I have new stuff coming out every day.
Awesome.
Hey, John, I want to apologize. I was sitting here looking at you, and I'm going, I know this man. And when you said Northwest, ding, 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 it all came together there. So
we've known each other for a while.
I know. It just didn't register.
Way to go, Mars.
There you go, buddy.
Hey, I'm getting to be almost as old as Conrad.
Or me.
Mars just took his Prevagen and remembered something.
He's got you on a Christmas card list now.
Yeah, he remembered to put you on there after 5 years.
Yeah.
John, thanks again, my friends. Good to see you. We appreciate it. We'll talk soon. Yep.
Looking forward to speaking again.
Thanks. John Vincent, Senior Auto Correspondent, U.S. News. Love that.
Nice guy. Great guy.
Yeah. He's one of us. Ussens.
He may not know this or talk about it or write about it, but are there aftermarket upgrades for an electric vehicle?
Yes.
You said that with a very strong.
I've talked to other people about them.
Well, you could upgrade the battery in your Tesla
when you buy it.
No. After you buy it.
After you buy it, just put a bigger battery pack in it.
Stuff like that.
Open up that wallet.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Seriously, open up that wallet, turn yourself on your head, and shake all the money out of your pocket.
Pretty much, yeah. But you can.
Yep. Wheels and tires,
Well,
all
that's
those things. But
really a normal
but they
thing.
have electric upgrades for the system, but they are ungodly expensive.
Yeah.
I'll bet.
Well, just think of it. I mean, you have to go in and you have to change all this stuff in the computer.
True.
And Tesla
Or
does all of that with your
multiple
battery
computers.
purchase.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And then what happens if you do it and Tesla comes in and says, you ain't doing that.
Well,
my car. And they override it.
Tesla is looking in your car all the time.
That's what
It's
I'm
like
saying.
General Motors, nobody wants to admit it, but General Motors is looking in your car through OnStar.
It's Mary Barrett's looking at
for
you.
years. Yeah, Mary Barrett. She gets $29 million a year
To look at you.
to look at inside your car.
I wanted to push that button so bad.
$29 million a year she gets to destroy a corporation
I
like
just
General
poked the
Motors.
bear.
Did you see how much General Motors made
Put the key
in the
in
last
and
quarter?
start him.
$9 billion. What?
So they need to give
And
her
how
a
much
raise.
are you charging for
she
that
needs a
pickup
raise.
truck?
Yeah.
She needs a raise.
All right, let's move on. Time now for Conrad's Car Clinic as
He's
he gets a
working
little
too
water
hard.
there. What are we on the car clinic today?
Well,
I saw something about power adders.
Power adders. Yeah, we're today I'm going to talk about blowers versus turbochargers. There's engines again are air pumps, and how much air can you get in? How much fuel can you throw in it? How big a bang can you make in the middle? And that bang is sometimes gasoline, sometimes nitromethane. But you need to have oxygen to create that explosion. So how do we add more air, oxygenated air to the engine? So today I'm going to talk about blowers and turbochargers. You can also add more oxygen through nitrous oxide, but I'm not going to talk about that as a power adder. So this is kind of the typical blower most people think of. It's a root style blower. Now this is probably a GMC or a 871, 2, 3,
it says Tesla on it.
671 blower.
That's
fitting on top of a small block Chevy.
Yeah, that was the Bible back then.
Oh yeah, and then this blower is belt driven. So there's a pulley on the crankshaft that drives that pulley on the front of the blower, and that pulley, that drive system, costs horsepower to drive it. Now, in a top fuel car that's putting out 12,000 horsepower, driving that blower may cost 1,000 horsepower to create. But at 12,000 horsepower, that's
you can't get all that power to the ground.
Yeah, a viable trade-off.
Right.
So any supercharger requires horsepower to drive. So there's kind of a give and take on that that belt-driven compressor. And then they have bolt-on compressors for LS motors as well, which are very common. GM does it in the LSA and the LT4. Now, most of the blowers that we're looking at are what are called screw blowers. So there's two counter-rotating screws that compress the air in the middle and force the air into the engine. And that's how they increase the amount of oxygen going into the engine. The system diagram of a belt-driven blower that's direct drive, here's the LS motor bolt-on, is the direct drive blower on the engine. There's also some that aren't screw type blowers. These are other blowers that look like a half a turbocharger that are also belt driven. So they use what, for lack of a better way to say it, what the insides of a hair dryer. And inside that hair dryer, you take the air in the middle of the device, you compress it and throw it out the edge of the device. And that's how you get the compressed air to go into the engine. And the benefit of turbocharging versus supercharging is turbocharging, they use the energy of the exhaust blowing out of the engine to turn one turbine wheel, and that's connected to the compressor wheel. So we're not burning energy through a belt drive. You're using the energy that's expelled by the engine through the exhaust system to turn the turbo. So again, it's kind of like a hair dryer. Sorry, Jeff, I didn't mean to say hair dryer to you. And
I carry a comb with me still. You know why? I can't part with it.
I can't part with it. So again, turbochargers, you have to have some kind of a boost controller. Same with superchargers. There has to be a way to manage how much boost is going in the engine and control it, because you can put so much in there, things go boom.
Yeah.
Which is, turbo or top fuelers go boom quite a bit.
Yes.
And that's when, especially in like the funny cars, you see the engine, the body come apart as it's doing. Now, some of the superchargers are actually connected directly to the crankshaft, and they use a drive system of gears to overdrive and underdrive the impeller of the supercharger. So you can go with big overdrives. You can do the overdrive and underdrive with the pulley systems as well. Bigger pulley on the crankshaft, smaller pulley on the compressor can make it create more boost faster. So really, again, turbochargers, if you broke it down, look very much like a hair dryer. And on the exhaust side, it's going in the bottom or going in the side, and then the exhaust is streamed out through the middle. On the compression side, it's drawn in from the middle, and the boost is blown out through the side of it. So that's how they work. Super simple. Turbos, you're seeing more and more manufacturers are using turbocharging because it's free energy versus supercharging. But there is a lot of supercharging out there as well. But the free energy of the exhaust system creating the boost is easier than the belt-driven.
Some sad news.
Uh-oh.
Performance auto entrepreneur Eli Reeves Callaway died July the 11th after sustaining injuries in a fall. The Callaway Cars and CEO was 75 years old. Callaway founded Callaway Cars in 77 in his garage in Old Lyme, Connecticut. Former Formula V champion driver, Callaway learned engine building, chassis tuning, and component fabrication while dreaming of becoming a professional race car driver. After running out of funds to keep racing, he put those skills to work building prototype turbocharger systems on a car borrowed from a driving school where he worked. The company's work for Corvette earned it a specialty vehicle manufacturer designation and led a world record in 1989 when Callaway Cars' twin-turbo Corvette hit 254.76 miles per hour, setting a production car top speed record that wasn't beaten until 2010.
Wow.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Reeves Callaway, I remember early on that I was always in awe of this guy because he was a Corvette guy.
How old was the gentleman?
75.
Wow.
Yeah. In a fall.
So don't fall, Don.
Yeah, thank you very much. By the way, if you're into new cars, Toyota's next generation Land Cruiser SUV set to be unveiled next week. We'll borrow some front styling cues from the 80s Land Cruisers. Toyota with the cherry red Land Cruiser FJ62 used as a backdrop prop for comparison released another image this past Wednesday previewing the Land Cruiser with rectangular headlights flanking an egg crate grille. It ought to be interesting to see. The Toyota badge is front and center in the grille. Blocky, chunky front fenders are similar to Toyota's latest big trucks, the
Sounds
Tundra
real aerodynamic to me.
and the Sequoia. It's a Land Cruiser. It's an off-road vehicle.
Looks like a GMC or something.
Yeah. So anyway, we're going to wrap up today's show right after a quick break. Stay with us here on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Everyone at the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, thank you for participating in the best cruise in around and look forward to seeing you again. You'll hear about the next cruise in date right here on In Wheel Time. Next time you're in the West Houston Energy Corridor area, be sure and stop in at the original Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex at I-10 and Highway 6 or the Katy location on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard. When passing through Beaumont or College Station, stop in and have Lupi's award-winning beef fajitas and frozen margaritas. There's always a celebration at Lupi Tortilla. Lupi Tortilla founder Stan Holt and his wife Sheila are winning racers on the NHRA drag racing circuit and have a collection of hot rods and classics that everyone appreciates. Look for them at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In. The date will be announced soon and will once again be held at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex on 99 and Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. We'll give you all the details right here on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show and online. Donations benefit God's Garage. We'll see you then. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In Wheel Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InWheelTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel. Well, that's a wrap for this week's In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. When you're online, follow us on Facebook. Give us a like, if you would. Tell your friends about us and share our junk, please. We promise to keep you posted on all things automotive all week long, including new car reviews, upcoming events, cruise-ins, racing events, and other informative and entertaining car and truck goodies. And promise not to load up your feed with a bunch of junk. Hey, you can find the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app and our live video stream on Facebook, YouTube, and on InWheelTime.com every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central Time. Daily 30-minute podcasts are available on the podcast channel you use. The In Wheel Time Chief Engineer and Vacation Guru is David Ainsley. Our Marketing, Advertising Advisor, and Video Technical Director is We Need More, Jeff Zeka.
Yeah, we do.
For Booking Agent and Bluetooth Hound Dog, Mike Mars. Mr. Know-It-All, his royalty, King Conrad DeLong. I'm Don Armstrong. Hey, here's an invitation for you to join us next week for a hot August edition of the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show, Saturday, August 5th, 2023, on all of our In Wheel Time Car Talk outlets, right here on the Smoke and Mirrors Network, 8 to 11 a.m. Central Time. Have a great weekend, stay cool, and so long for now.